All right, I'm just going to go live. All right, we're live. Just so you're aware. I don't know if we're actually live because I don't have YouTube pulled up right now to see if we're...
Well, I mean, share the link with me and I can...
Yeah, no, I got to get the...
Another walk. A walk, a double play, a walk. And that'll bring
I'm just not super good with all these things right now. YouTube, take me to YouTube, eh?
Take me to paradise.
But Joe, you have to remember the
Go
field was
live
uncovered for 45 minutes before the game. It was raining just like this during that time. So the infield as well as the outfield is wet.
Edit.
That means infielders
Visibility. Public.
on ground balls, and outfielders need to play a step or two
What
deeper
should we call
so that
this?
ball will skid rather than bounce on the wet turf.
Here's Jordan Alvarez. 1 on, 2 out, and a high fly ball.
World Series Game 3
Rosario
commentary stream.
ends the top of the first.
He's out.
Watching party. We'll just call it a watch party. I don't know.
2 walks.
Yeah, watch
By
party.
Anderson. Gets
Come on now.
no score after a half in game 3.
World Series
95.
Game 3. Watch party. Game 3, Braves. Nope, it's Astros Braves.
Yeah! Square up!
What are you watching? Commercials?
Yeah.
MLB. Baseball. Oops. Baseball. What other things? What other tags? Sports. Playoffs.
World Series. Shake your money maker.
All right, that's probably good enough. All right. Boom. We live and boom, there it is. There it is. All right. So at least you can see what I have on the screen. And I need to
Yeah!
make another,
Yeah!
get another game feed going here. Live AB. Baseball Savant 2. Boom. Add that source.
As soon as you get the second source up, I will post it out.
Eddie Rosario
What
leads
the-
off. Freddie Freeman bats second. Ozzie Albies hits third. Austin Riley cleans up. Jorge Soler is in right, batting fifth. Adam Duvall in center. Travis d'Arnaud does the catching.
Eddie.
Swanson hits eighth, and Ian Anderson
Eddie Rosario.
bats in the 9 spot. Against the big right
Yeah, I will let you know, though. As soon as you get both live up there, I will.
I mean, they're kind of both up there right now. it doesn't
But
look very
once
nice.
once you get it formatted in
Yeah.
in the way you want it, I will. Yeah.
Perfect, because I am in the process of trying to format it in a way that's going to work here for
call it a slider. They call it
everything.
a cutter, but it breaks more than a cutter. That's the pitch. He can get his
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get both of them to fit on here
The Braves will have a big challenge on them.
without making them too small.
Digging his way in to start this night.
There you go.
You can kind of see it, right? But I'm trying to get everything on the screen, so I got to go a little bit smaller.
It's raining.
Not quite that small, because I can't see pitch velo at the end. On the right. There we go. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
He left his playoff
Yeah.
start
Okay.
in the last
Alrighty.
series. His first
I don't have a cool little
knee.
nice background in the back, but, you know, whatever.
Hey, we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, we are.
A hit for 5 2/3 of baseball.
One
Oh,
watching. Yep,
I
that's
heard
me.
I heard a little buzz.
Here's a 1-0. Rosario
Was that
Was
not
that
just you watching us live?
Oh yeah, it's me watching. Watching ourselves. Oh, close play there. Jordan in left field. How many times did Jordan play left field this year? That's a good question to ask.
That was a great question. You want to look it up?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see if we get any. I'll pull up.
41 games. 319 total innings in right or left field.
He said he's just as concerned with the infield defense because that's been covered since the
All right, we're gonna have two watching now.
to Atlanta. They haven't played here,
Yeah.
and so these guys really haven't seen how the ball bounces. If it's a fast infield,
All right, we got no chats right now.
no two infields are created equally.
No chats, but feel free to ask us questions. Luis Garcia is just pumping fastballs right now.
Yeah, he is.
That one at 96.8. You know, what I found interesting, Garrett, was in Game 2, I believe, of the ALCS, Luis Garcia was 90, 93, 95.
Mm-hmm.
Then Game 6, he got up to 95, 97, which apparently, according to Brett Strawn, the Astros pitching coach, was like a little bit of a hitch in Garcia's movement. So when he does that little rock and fire motion, essentially, that gave him an extra 2 miles an hour by changing his footing.
Nice.
Because then in Game 6, he was 95, 97. And now, right now, he's looking like the same, 95, 97.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting.
I think my feed is a little bit behind. Is yours keeping up to date with the what I have there?
Savant?
Yeah, Savant.
Yes.
So then I must be behind a little bit.
First you were ahead, now you're behind.
I know, what the heck?
What is going on?
What's Eddie being mad about?
That apparently he thought he didn't go.
Oh.
As Luis Garcia strikes out the first batter of the game. Only four-seam cutter that AB. Looks like his cutter had a ton of V-break. 34 to 37 inches as well.
Well, do you think he went on that?
Yeah.
I mean, his hands kind of went, you know.
Here we go. And it's also hard for the thought process of, you know, a lot of people think, oh, it's when the bat crosses the plate.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's when their bat breaks the plane of their swing.
Right.
As then a first pitch fly up out of the inning already.
That's nice. Keep that pitch count down. All right, I'm going to be right back.
All righty. Just me. Hey, guys, what's up? Only me. We're rocking. Interesting to see Kyle Tucker play center field. I don't think he had much experience in center field. Be happy to look that up for you, though. So, Kyle Tucker, this season, has played 4 games in center field. Yet he's starting center field in Game 3 of the World Series.
There's the curveball. Okay, you see the bigger break there. He hasn't broke out the changeup yet, but there's the adjustments he made from Game 2 to Game 6.
I just, I find that interesting because
Which thing?
that Kyle Tucker only played four games this season in center field. 4.
Yeah.
Yet he's the starting center fielder in Game 3 of the World Series.
I find it interesting that the catcher is like hiding his arm a little bit underneath his chest protector. Ooh, he's just
trying to keep it
just
dry.
under that, I guess. Oh yeah, it's kind of sprinkling out there.
A little bit wet out there.
Hey, from an environmental constraint standpoint, do you ever practice in a slightly damp, drizzly condition?
I mean, it's rare to do it, but you never know when it comes up. It's all about being adaptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, as they say, what kind of affordances does the rain give you?
I mean, maybe from a hitting standpoint, it might open up a few more possibilities for you. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. What ways do you think it might afford you something different than under normal conditions? I mean, maybe a pitcher, the ball's a little bit more slick because it's wet. But, I mean, how many guys actually are, good at a spitball, type of a pitch?
What about this? Like, I remember pregame, like, Dusty Baker was upset that the Astros couldn't get out of the field ground balls.
Hey,
One
you know what?
thing
That's
is,
fair.
With the rain, the ball might skip a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit tougher to read ground balls, so batters may have a greater affordance to put the ball on the ground.
No, if we were talking to Caleb, he would be like, "You're not trying. We're not talking about trying to hit the ball on the ground." But
no, we are not. We are not trying to talk about hitting the ball on the ground. What we're trying to say is that might create a little bit more opportunity than in a normal environment.
But I mean, if that pitch affords hitting it on the ground, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you take that affordance.
Which, I mean, based on this at bat so far, 4 of the 5 pitches are low.
Now, did you just see it? Was that one for you just out, on the walk part? I just want to see if we are on the same page with the. Okay.
Yep.
Is he just getting to first base?
Yep. So we're on the same page, listeners, followers, watchers.
Yeah, the one person watching.
It's me. I'm watching.
Yeah, me too. But hey, whatever.
Things you love to see. Come on, guys. Come on.
I want to see if he steals here. That'd be interesting.
With our base running coach and our infield coach, I had a good conversation about Jerry Weinstein posted something, and our hitting and infield coach Casey, he did a really good job of explaining why a certain angle is good.
What do you mean, certain angle?
Basically, like the angle that your drop step.
Oh, yeah.
When your drop step, when your shin goes a certain way, if you have a positive angle, then you're creating better momentum.
Well, I mean, in order to create force to propel you forward, you need to create, somewhere probably in the neighborhood of like a 45-degree angle to get you going so that when you actually press into the ground, it propels you in the direction you want to go. But yeah. No, it's important. But it's interesting because I think Albies, he does a little bit more of a pivot turn, and he kind of pivots his foot in place instead of dropping it back when he goes to steal. We'll see. Like if he does steal here, that might be a good example. I mean, maybe I can go find and pull on the film room an example of him stealing. That shouldn't get us taken down or stream. Let's see if I can go pull one of those.
Interesting.
It's a fair ballpark than what they thought when they first built it. The last couple of years, ball, especially with the temperature, jumps to right field.
Interesting that this pitch,
3-0 pitch.
Garcia 3-0, you would think, probably a fastball.
Dude, so that was one of the things that I posted earlier in the postseason.
Slider, strike one.
Who was it?
Outside corner.
Was it the Astros or was it the Boston? But it's like you can't throw a 3-0 fastball anymore. Guys are ready to tee off. Like they're ready to swing 3-0. You've seen it all postseason. Guys are taking hacks 3-0. You can't throw a 3-0 fastball. I mean, you can, but it's no longer just like a guy's just going to take it and you're just trying to get a strike there. I mean, if you throw a 3-0 pitch, a guy's fixing to do damage with that pitch. So, I mean, you run a risk of, hey, walk him or potentially give up a home run, double, etc. You're really going to have to think about it in terms of, do you got guys on base? What would you rather do there? Have first and second or give up a 2-run bomb here in this situation?
And that leads me to think, what's the swing rate on 3-0 counts?
And I would look specifically in the playoffs. If you're gonna pull that up, I would look. Ooh, there you go.
A little 3-2 fastball here.
But the location. If we're going back to the Max Bay conversation. That pitch location was a really good pitch location there.
Yes. And now, I mean, depending on the model, too, I know, Max and I, so recently I posted location plus numbers with our guys at Quincy. I know, talking with Max, kind of behind the scenes, I know that, his location model varies a little bit from mine in the sense that, his is more machine learning model based than mine, whereas mine it has kind of that focus of, hey, so that outcome's a good result. So what my location plus model does in essence is take kind of the median location of good results. So a swing and miss is a good result, and the reason why is and another thing, this is a stats 101 idea, but the reason why I take the median location instead of the mean is because you could have one guy that misses a lot, a right-handed pitcher misses a ton arm side, and then the same pitcher spikes one in the ground, glove side. If you take the average location, it's right down the middle. Whereas rather we take the 50th percentile location. And that's better for understanding the edges more or less.
Makes sense. All right, so on this in the film room, how do I find stolen base attempt? I'm trying to find that.
I don't know.
I know, that's what I'm
Be a good question for our viewers, though. We can figure out the film room.
Because I'm looking under play, pitch result. I mean, to me, it's stolen base because I have pick off, pitch out, swinging strike, block, wild pitch, foul, other advance.
Maybe other advance.
Maybe. Nope. All right, let's go season this year. Let's go game type. World Series. League.
In the concourse here at Truist Park, the Hank Aaron statue, and the facility here with a battery, as they call it. Bars and restaurants and a hotel right here. And
runner on first base.
I mean, they built a gym.
Result of runner. Oh, here we go. Stolen base. Boom. Let's go. Oh. All right. Let's get rid of that.
Result of runner first. Stolen base. Things we love to see.
It just kind of comes out of that over-the-top delivery that.
But it's not pulling up anything.
Did you put runner name on first? Because I got mine.
Oh, runner
mean,
name on first? Where is that?
Very first column or very first selection
Players?
group.
Oh, I just have player.
Players.
Okay.
And then runner name on first, Albies. And so, viewers, what this does, so if you go on MLB.com/video/search, you go to players. So it gives you like these basically 4 tabs. First tab, players. Go to runner name on first, Ozzy Albies. And then you go to play, result of runner on first, stole base. It'll pull up this season anytime, or actually, anytime Albies has stolen a base that has video on it. So we can kind of talk more about, that drop step that he does.
Mm-hmm.
To the hitter that they just don't pick up as well, and then he throws that changeup and curveball. But I'm telling you, the curveball tonight, if he doesn't start,
Let's see if I can find this.
It's going to get increasingly tougher against this lineup. With 1 out, Kyle Tucker digs in. We'll check in with Kenny Rosenthal here in a moment. As Tucker fouls it back. Kenny, give us more on Ian.
Well, Joe, his parents, Bob and Karen, are here
Kyle
tonight,
Tucker.
as is his twin brother, Ben, who is a pitcher in the Rangers organization. Ben was
Fouls it off.
catcher at Shenendehowa High School in Lake Clifton, New York.
Is it this one? Oh, it is this one.
Yeah,
Okay. Here we go.
Taco Hero Saves America.
Yeah, that's different.
Now back to Ben. He is a guy in the Rangers organization that has a chance to be a major league.
I mean,
We'll
I'm trying
see
to
whether or
pull-
not I can
He doesn't have Ian's arm.
Pitch up and away, 1 ball,
get
1
it
strike.
so I can slow it down and we can break it down. Otherwise, I might just have to record it and play it back.
And there's Kevin and Ian.
It's perfectly fine. Like these are the type of questions we want to ask, and I mean, I know, like, to the viewers, like, yeah, Albies was on first last inning, but these are the kind of questions that we think about a lot while we're watching a game. What kind of drop step does Albies get? Is it moving in the right direction? Is he doing the best he possibly can to give himself the opportunity of a better stolen base chance?
Right. And 2, what I was mentioning earlier was, is he doing a true drop step or is he doing like a pivot in place and then he's shifting his weight over his lead leg to get the positive shin angle? And I'm going to see if I can get that for us.
It's hard. Can't inject that into everybody. Tucker takes a ball, and you saw that Ian, by the way, is only 23, but I wasn't going to misquote Luke Jackson, who said he's like a 65-year-old in a 24-year-old body.
Joe, here's his delivery, and you just don't see it. Watch where the ball comes out of, like the top of his head, right straight over the top. And from that angle, and you see how straight-legged he lands to throw that.
3-2 pitch here, and a fly ball into right. Soler will give way, and it's caught by Riley on the other side of the infield and out in shallow right. 2 out.
But that illusion from the hitter is just they don't pick it up like you would think right here.
How are we doing vid-wise?
But that changeup
I don't know.
just
It's a
enough
good
to
question.
take off the fastball, and the changeup, if
Oh,
he throws
yeah,
it the
here we
same
go.
way of his fastball, that will give the hitters a little more of an
All right, now we can actually do slow-mo.
Throws his fastball
I should share this
goes
with
down
you
with his
so that you
changeup.
can actually watch it in real time with me.
Too many swings there.
All right, so this was from Game 1 of the World Series. Albies steals second base, gets everybody free tacos. That's not what we're going to
Free
talk about
tacos.
That's it. That's the release point. See, trying
We're
to
just going
find
to
the
talk
release
about
point when it's
what kind
way
of
up
drop
there
step he has.
is a little bit
Dude, I can't even find
harder
this Google Meet
sometimes to throw that curve
thing that I'm
to
supposed to be
bases.
in. Dude, I don't know where that is anymore.
For those two, it's 0-2. By the way, if there's any hitter on either team that doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes, it's Yuli Gurriel. 1.
Ping.
A little less of a shift on the infield for Gurriel.
Ball in. Wow. What do you think Anderson goes with here?
Strikeout number 1 for the 23-year-old.
1-2.
Trapped in a
He goes changeup. Wow. Like that. Location plus, stuff plus. That's a great pitch. That is right at the knees.
I'm ahead
Ian
of you
Anderson.
again.
That was a great pitch.
All right. So let's actually look at Albie's steal and the way he steals here. I'll just roll this forward. Because I always find this to be the most interesting. So he does pick it up. He looks like he moonwalks a little bit when he's doing that.
So
It just must be the angle of the camera because it makes it seem like he's not even picking his foot up, but he must be. Because the way that he gets that, like when he gets to that back heel up, I mean, boom. There's that positive shin angle. So the other thing that we talk about a lot when you are stealing is not popping up right away. You know, can you maintain that long low, basically, oh, you can't see my mouse. Basically from his head to his butt, basically kind of bent over at an angle, but you're not like completely bent over, but he's got a good kind of like 45, 50, 60-ish degree angle there, bent over. And then the other thing that you want to look at is that back heel. So how much does that heel give and come down towards the ground? Because you actually don't want that heel to move towards the ground there. You actually want to have that be fairly stiff so that you're able to actually transfer that force, and that force is going into the ground. You're not leaking any energy through the system, essentially. And so we can see kind of his initial couple of steps there. His first 3 steps, he's staying down. Boom, and
then he's just more or less creating force off each step.
Right.
So that initial front step pivot then allows him to transfer energy to the back heel. Back heel then allows to repivot that energy to keep moving forward.
So like,
does that what you mean by like when you mean like stiffness? You want it to be somewhat stiff, but not completely stiff?
You don't want like, so for example, it's hard to do here. Okay, so if I'm pressing in here, if as I hit the ground, my heel comes down, I'm letting energy go instead of staying stiff and pushing all that energy that my leg is generating is going straight into the ground. But if I go like that, like I'm losing a little bit of that energy that I'm generating is getting dissipated throughout my body instead of going straight into the ground. Now, the other thing here, too, is to see, like, does he get full extension before his other foot hits the ground, and he doesn't. But the other thing that he does and that a lot of people get incorrect is that heel of that leg that's cycling forward, it stays fairly close to the ground. It doesn't actually come up to his butt. That back leg doesn't come up, and that back heel doesn't come up to his butt. A lot of people make that mistake. You want to be, when you're accelerating, you want to get that next foot onto the ground again as fast as you can. And that foot takes longer to cycle through if that back foot comes up to your butt and then comes through and swings forward and then gets it back down into the ground. So you can see there that back leg as it's cycling forward. It stays fairly close to the ground. Boom, straight down. Same thing there. So that's something that he does really well. I could show, I don't have the video on this computer, but I have a video of me doing my acceleration, and it looks awful. It's not as good as this. So he's pretty efficient with the way that he cycles in his acceleration phase. So anyways, there's a little bit on acceleration mechanics and what you should look for. I don't see a lot of people talking about having a lower cycle in your acceleration when it comes to your initial part of your steal. I'm sure some people have talked about it, but I don't hear that often taught. A lot of people talk about, positive shin angle. That's been widely talked about, but I don't see as many people talking about the low cycle through here. So I might go goof around on my other computer and find that video for you guys and pull that up, and we can show a contrast here in a bit.
Yeah.
The launch angle swing. That's why Duvall, so many homers.
But hey, learn a thing or two about chin
stealing
angles
bases
and stealing bases, most importantly.
and the mechanics for good, efficient mechanics, which is funny because, you know, finding the edge, we don't talk a lot about mechanics, you know, but there are some. I'm not against biomechanics, but sometimes we can overcoach that with guys.
Okay. What's the idea behind that? Or why do you feel we can overcoach guys with biomechanics?
Well, you get them highly focused on their movement instead of focused on the task that they're trying to do. I mean, when it comes to like sprinting and just trying to go in a straight line, I mean, there is an efficient way to do it, and it's pretty cyclical, and there's not as much information that we're having to adapt to and modulate our movement to. Whereas, like, for example, with hitting, I mean, we can... Huh. Yeah, why is there a golf club? What? What?
Well, I guess
what is
they're
just going on
golfing,
right now? I mean, I'm not completely opposed to the whole golfing idea. I'm just kind of confused. I wasn't paying attention there to fully hear what they were going on with that.
Yeah,
but I mean, that
why.
That has to do with like kind of what we're talking about here too. Is, you know, even with the golf swing, there are multiple different ways to hit a golf ball and to hit it hard and to hit it far. I mean, there are certain biomechanical things that are going to give you more leverage, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like, I just need to know from my view on things. I just want to know what is going to be biomechanically more advantageous for you, but I'm not trying to get you to meet that biomechanical ideal. I may, based upon how you're doing and how you're moving, I may just want to nudge you to more towards that biomechanical ideal, if that makes sense. And that's different than like trying to pursue a biomechanical ideal in everything that you do. It's just, how do we help your system self-organize better to more functionally be able to meet the task demands? And so that's how I view it, because the system is dynamic, and I mean, if it's solving the problem, like again, if we go back to Albies wasn't getting full extension on his drive, but I mean, the dude is still really fast. You know, like, I'm sure we could get him faster potentially if he got more extension before cycling through to the next
Early returns from the hitters when it was first built, they were like,
the next stride.
This is not right, and then the ball started jumping.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
So it's less about the movement in the sense of movement. It's more about the movement to accomplish a task.
Right. It's how are you interacting with the environment. That to me is more about what I'm focused on. Because I mean, otherwise, I mean, let's just say, for example, we've used this example before. You could, you know, have the most ideal movement, but if it's decoupled from the task and it doesn't actually meet the task demands, it doesn't matter that you were biomechanically optimal, right? I could use the most technical term or word, and yet it doesn't. It might not actually meet the person that I'm actually talking to, you know, like, or it might not even be like the conversation that we're having. It doesn't matter that I use the most articulate word possible to articulate my message if that was not the conversation that we're having. So again, it comes back to more, how is the athlete interacting with the environment, and does that actually fit and meet what is being asked of them or what they're trying to do?
So in a sense, it's, if you want to talk about like perfect mechanics in a way, like the thing that comes to mind for me is like feel good BP, where it's like, oh yeah, you have great mechanics, but are you really solving the task? Because in that environment, are you really facing
Firm landing.
a pitching machine that's going 40 miles an hour, right in the player's hot zone,
And he's got
or
a
in this
chance
case,
to
like
have it more
right
durable.
where,
Yeah,
right down the middle in most
Salsa.
cases.
he's got like 4 landing spots. And he's dealing with a bad
I almost thought I
knee,
found
the
that
right
video
knee.
of me running terribly.
He's the final landing spot with that left foot.
I swear it's on
Now a
there.
3-2 pitch. Fly ball into right. Back at the wall. It is off the wall.
Ooh.
And
Darno.
double.
No way.
Let's see here.
I think that wall surprised Brantley out in
Let's
right.
see the bat speed on that.
He got on it faster than he thought he was going to.
So yeah, we
Double either way.
listeners, fans, we Garrett asked a lot about bat speed, so got a quick little in-game bat speed formula counter for you. So 99 off the bat, 95 pitch velo.
But that ball and that wall can have some ricochets.
So 95.5 with a 99.1 pitch velo.
And now in the
That
National League,
bat speed per the formula,
hitters, the hardest spot
66.7 miles per hour.
pitch to you in these situations.
So not high bat speed. Actually, Duvall's ground out was 70.8 miles an hour. And so that's the fastest tracked bat speed.
Well,
so far in
I mean,
this
if
game.
you think about it, from what I've seen from Blast and Zepp, back when Zepp was the premier bat speed sensor, I did notice that pitches that were at least off the tee, balls that were up, had a slower bat speed than balls that were down. I mean, and that pitch was up and away. So, I mean, it would make sense that
So
bat
then-
speed was a little bit slower.
If that's the case, then does this lead into the question: is exit velo slower when on balls up than balls down? Could that be a reason why more pitchers throw up? Because they find that exit velo is actually greater lower in the zone than it is higher in the zone.
I mean, that's my
Because-
that's my hypothesis.
Because the bat speed formula to get bat speed, it is exit velocity minus 0.2 times pitch velocity divided by 1.2. And 0.2, or I should say 1 plus 0.2, and 0.2 is basically the collision efficiency of a wood bat. And that was found by Dr. Alan Nathan, who's a physicist at the University of Illinois.
I wonder, do you want to throw that formula in the chat? Not like, I mean, the live stream chat. I mean, since you're watching it just like I'm watching it. And somebody can see it later.
Yes, sir.
I mean, too, like, for me personally, I'm like, I have to actually see the formula to really actually understand it. And then maybe I don't even know how to do, Robert, you know how to use Streamlabs better than I do. I mean, I should just have you streaming this thing, not me. Plus, your internet is like insanely faster than mine.
Yes, he was present for it too. So that is proof of concept.
Mm-hmm. I did find the videos finally. I just got
And we actually, so here's your fun fact. We actually got an extra 100 megabits free of charge. So it got even better.
All right, when this thing uploads or whatever.
Ends the second, and that's 4 strikeouts now for Garcia. Third inning rolls in game 3.
Look at that. Luis Garcia already, I think he already has, I think he might have 5 Ks already.
Yeah, pull up
Let's see.
the box score. I love the box score. Box score is an awesome. Let's pull this up. He's got 4 strikeouts.
4 strikeouts. Yeah, that's still pretty good. First time, one time through the order, 4 Ks.
It's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's see if I can pull up.
All right, let's see some awesome running.
Yeah. It's almost embarrassing.
Oh, it can't.
At
be
least
that
for me.
embarrassing.
I'm just like, wow. As a strength coach, my running is awful. It's bad. All right, let's see here. Let's reshare this. Stop presenting since you can't see anything. Oops. Bad. All right. Streamlabs, where are you at here?
Streamlabs.
Apparently I need to make this thing bigger. Oh, that looks terrible. Y'all don't look at that. That's awful. Interesting. There's no element. What are you talking about? Window capture. There's too many things in here, Robert. I don't understand.
You just got a lot of stuff.
I do.
The top starter for the Houston Astros, injured in the division series.
All right, whatever. We'll just put this on display too, and
Watching him pitch.
it'll make this easier, actually.
I know that injury has kept you from pitching.
You'll just see everything that's on this other screen over here.
Be eating you alive down there, Lance.
Yeah, you
Alrighty.
you know, you come into spring training with a squad like this, and you know this is your goal. You know, this is where you want to be, and you want to be a part of that. You want to be pitching, but it's not my time. You know, unfortunately, you know, I got hurt in the division series, so I'm trying to be a cheerleader, be the best teammate I can be, and you know, watching these guys do their thing is pretty fun.
We're watching Martin Maldonado at the plate, and the average baseball fan would say, oh, well, the guy, you know, he hit 170 during the regular season. He's not getting any hits. But for you on the mound, how important is he behind the plate?
You can't really.
All right, let's not make this the whole
put,
thing, you know?
A price tag on what Mully does for
All right.
himself and the rest of the pitching staff. His preparation is elite. He's one of those guys when he's back there.
Let's
feel
see if
that
I can,
energy, feel that confidence coming from
your
him,
entire
and
screen.
brings out the best of you. And you've seen what he's been able to do with us last year with the young pitching staff that we had during the COVID season. You see what he's brought to the table this year. He's bringing the best out of these guys. So it's always great to see someone that's as great of a guy as Maldi is, and get the recognition he deserves, even if maybe traditionally speaking, it doesn't jump off the
That's
page.
screen
because
2,
he sure
screen
is
1.
there.
And the guy coming up
All right,
after
Robert.
him
Now
is
you can see everything
the
I
24-year-old right-hander. He looks on
I have
tonight.
going on.
Everything you are seeing.
Such a
Yep.
pleasant young guy to be
All right, let's pull over Albies over here.
Series, he gave up some run to Chicago. Come on, Molly, get on your horse now.
You're cheering on that one?
Yeah, you gotta cheer for your boys. But Luis was throwing the ball extremely well in Chicago, and things kind of tumbled on him a little bit. But he pitched so well.
All right, so here's the bad example. We're gonna kind of contrast it here, and then here's a good example. Albies is pretty good. So, all right, this ugly looking person over here. I mean, good looking person over here. You're gonna see how what I'm meaning when this is done incorrectly, and the way that you cycle is not efficient.
Albies gets the out, 2 down. Hey, Lance, one of the things I don't think the country knows is how much under the radar
All right.
staff you guys have.
So you can see here,
Take pride in
as I begin to accelerate, my heel is like pretty darn close to my butt, and then it comes up and then out.
Yeah, I mean, we've had guys here.
And see how my heel, I'm basically like doing like a little butt kick there. And so if you contrast that with what Albies is doing, which is what you should do, if we run this through here, his foot basically skims across the ground a lot better. So if you look at my colleague here, he does something very similar. When he accelerates, his foot basically shoots. Oh, well now. his foot shoots straight forward. And you can see he gets a lot better extension than Albies does here. Albies doesn't get as good. His back knee is still fairly bent there. He could transfer more energy there on that initial part. The other thing that people make the mistake of when they are trying to steal / accelerate, they try to be really, really fast and really, really quick. When you're accelerating, you actually want to think long and in a way slow. You're trying to actually impart as much force into the ground to get you momentum going. So early on, it's actually about being long and powerful in a way so that you actually get that full extension and you don't end up doing what Elbies is doing here, and he's transferring over to his other foot before his lead leg gets to full extension, because you can see here it's still kind of bent at an L there. Maybe we'll just make this full screen or whatever. So see here he's got an L there. So, and you can see I'm doing that same thing. Well, I'm getting a little bit more extension there, but my biggest issue is that I'm up too high, and look at how much clearance there is between me and the ground there. Where if you compare me to Jared's bent over more. He's actually got his lead legs at a good 90-degree angle. This is really hard to do. Jared's a stud, but he's got mostly full extension on that back leg, and then boom, his foot's going to hit, and then that other leg is going to cycle through fairly close to the ground. So that is your stealing or linear acceleration mechanical breakdown of what you're trying to do.
So you want more or less that front leg to be as close to 90 as possible.
Yeah, so basically what you can then do, if it's at 90 degrees and it's all the way up, you can basically just slam that thing straight down into the ground and then propel yourself forward. So essentially that's what you're trying to do, is try to cycle through as quickly as you can through, but at the same time with that back leg or that leg that's on that foot that hits the ground, you're trying to Albies does a much better job on that second stride to get closer to full extension there. But that first leg that he's pushing off on there, he doesn't get quite full extension. And two, you see he's not, it is 90 degrees relative to his torso, but he could get into a better position to drive that foot straight down into the ground if he were able to actually get full extension off that back leg. So, but that's something just that, you can kind of work on in your, short acceleration starts. The example that I had here of Jared, that's a good start position to kind of feel that, to start in a push-up position. The other position I like is a half kneeling position. But at the end of the day, quite honestly, in order for you to get it to transfer, you just need to practice it in your leadoff stance. Because I got better at doing what Jared's doing from a half kneeling stance, but it didn't transfer to a lateral standing stance. So this goes back to this whole notion of what we've talked about is representativeness. Like if you can practice something in an isolated manner and get it working the way you want, but when you go and you put it back into its original context with all the other constraints that are there, it might not actually emerge or transfer. So this goes back to why it's actually really important. Like, yeah, you can get really good at doing it out of this low position here, but the fact is that the context of stealing from this stance, you're up higher. So you have to figure out from this position here where your center of mass and everything is higher, how to actually get into this position here that Jared gets into right there. Like if you can get into this position out of your first stride here, When you get
Looks great. And
Come
we'll
on now.
see how the second time around this lineup, both lineups,
when you get
their opposing pitchers.
into there, like he's kind of there,
And that's why that's
if you can get into that position off that first stride, when you actually that first stride there, that would be ideal. But I mean,
so it's almost like, so because you can't, I see what you mean by like representativeness. You can't really get into a half kneel or a kneel when you're on the base
No.
pass. Because you basically are nearly upright in a sense. I mean, you're probably like 75% upright, 75%. So more or less, your first movement should be like angled down.
a little bit. I mean, Albies does a pretty good job here. Because like I've watched Byron Buxton do this. Like when he lifts up that front foot to create that positive shin angle that we've been talking about, he's driving off that back leg. Okay, so you can see Albies does that too here. That drive off that back leg helps put you in that position, that bent over position. So you don't necessarily have to do it as much with your upper body as just drive with that back leg. That's going to put you in that 45-degree angle, and then just get everything turned and going towards where you want to go. I mean, that's the other part. We don't see it here as much, but you want to go in a straight line. So a lot of guys, what's going to happen here is because they don't actually create a lane for their back foot to come through, they'll actually go in a zigzag. They won't turn and go straight towards their target. They'll kind of turn and come out a little bit and then start going towards second base. You want everything to go in a straight line. So that's why you'll see some guys, they'll have their front foot open a little bit and or back behind their, so that basically the instep of their sole, they take the front of their toes and they're just going to put it there. And they're going to be at slightly open position. So that way when they actually go and pivot, now there's space for their back leg to come through so that you're actually running in a straight line, and you don't have to then go around your front leg and then makes a sort of like kind of little semicircle before going towards second base. So
it's a direct movement, which I mean,
yeah,
that in a way that lines up with like pitching and hitting as well. Like your first movement for a pitcher, first movement should be towards the batter. First movement should be towards the pitcher.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. Oh, towards the yeah. First movement. I thought you meant where they were stepping.
No, just first movement.
Yeah. You want the energy to go towards your target. Absolutely.
Yes.
He can hit it to all parts of the park. If he gets an off-speed pitch, he's looking to launch. If he gets a fastball,
And seeing that
he'll hit it to left field.
that drive off the back leg allows that movement to be able to angle down slightly, because I'm not, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not 100% confident on this, but do you get better energy transfer when you're lower to the ground because of ground force?
Well, you have more to potentially press into if you're loaded more, right? Like if your limbs are flexed, meaning bent, you have, then when you go to contract and straighten them, you're able to put more force into the ground. That's at least how I look at it.
Because think about it this way too, like think like smaller NFL running backs. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, they're shifty running backs. Could it be because since they're lower to the ground, they're flexed?
No, so with that, think it has more to do with like lifting. So for example, smaller guys with like longer arms are going to be able to lift more weight. Why? Because they don't have to move the weight as far. The distance they have to travel is less. So like for smaller guys and like, being more shifty and running, their limbs, like in order for them to get fully flexed, it goes a shorter distance, if that makes sense. So for them, how high their foot gets off the ground is just going to be less because they're just shorter. Ooh, there we go.
Rosario will stop at second.
See, this is what I mean of like, I have this argument, right, of like hitting through holes. I mean, that right there, like that has good launch angle. No doubt. What was the launch on that?
He stays back, head down, and he goes that
8
way.
degrees.
8 degrees, right? So what's the ideal launch that everybody talks about working at? Was it like 10, 15, 15, right?
As so many people here
Yeah.
used to a hit machine.
I mean,
But
Amazing how slow
you kind of think about it this way, though. Analytically, okay, on a pitch down and away, what's the best launch angle there?
I mean, that-
what gives you the best opportunity,
Mhm.
and should that be incorporated into XBA models?
yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, probably. I just think like, okay, so that was hit at 8 degrees. If the shortstop had been shifted over more, that would have been a caught. That ball would have been caught like a line out. So, I mean, this is to me where this is why you want to begin to think about where fielders are positioned on the field when you're hitting. And like, can you hit through holes like that?
And I mean that base hit was, or bat speed wise, using that formula, 77.1 miles an hour.
Hey, where was that pitch located too?
Down.
Right. So, I mean, I feel like that works with that hypothesis of pitches that are down are going to, one, have higher bat speed. Two, it was a little bit further away. So then you would assume that the arc of, like, how the bat's going to be able to get going more. I don't know where the contact point was. That would actually be really interesting to see the contact point. Because if you think about it, balls that are more out in front, that you catch more out in front, are going to have a higher bat speed because the bat's going to have longer to accelerate and pick up more speed.
Yeah.
Versus balls that are caught deeper in.
Have a lower bat speed.
Yeah.
Which is why contact point is so important. So then it leads to the question, at what point does the acceleration of the bat slow down? Because I mean, it can vary by hitters, absolutely. But can we train a way where we know, hey, this is when your bat speed will slow down? Because the main goal, I shouldn't say the main goal, but one of the goals is catch the ball out in front of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, bat speed's accelerating.
Right.
You're
Okay.
getting your most optimal type of hitting in that sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so what you're saying basically is we want to train guys to contact the ball where their bat speed is the highest.
Yeah.
You know, before it starts to slow down. I mean,
Yes.
because that ultimately is what happens when you catch the ball way too far out in front. Like,
Right,
you don't have any
that-
power on it. But, I mean, I think, though, it probably won't start to slow down until the barrel is starting to change planes. Or, you know, start to turn – once it starts to turn the corner a little bit, too. I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder – that's a question for Driveline, right? Go use your biomechanics lab and, you know,
See at what point.
the markers that you put on the bat. And I mean, that would begin to tell you like how fast the bat is moving at all points in the swing.
Yeah, because then you could find a peak point. Well, and I mean, we're just talking about the bat, because one way to kind of answer that question in a way is using like K-Vest
Yeah.
throughout, like gaining speed throughout your swing. Because K-Vest does a really good job of understanding like your lower half going to your torso, going to your arms, then going to your hands. And I mean, that's basically the proper order. Is you're going from lower half to torso to arm to hands, and like there's a acceleration in each of them, and then they have within that data they have like a max acceleration point.
I mean, what I find though is interesting, and I've heard it from other coaches, that some of the best hitters don't even have the ideal K-Vest pattern. And this goes back to why
Right.
like I don't totally focus on biomechanical optimal, because
Okay.
I mean, to me, running fast, trying to run as fast as you can, way different than trying to hit a moving ball, you know, and so that it is offensively productive. And that's where the problem is way more dynamic when it comes to hitting than it is when it comes to sprinting from, you know, first to second base. That's fairly straightforward. There's less variability in that. But hitting is such a highly variable problem that needs to be solved. Yeah, that the way that you go about solving that, given all the different degrees of freedom and the different strengths and weaknesses that you have, mobility, all that. There's just so many different ways to solve that problem. And so some guys are going to maybe solve that problem by not using the biomechanical ideal that is for the basically the biomechanical ideal is designed for a biomechanically ideal person. And since we're all not biomechanically ideal human beings that are in the the biomechanical literature, it's going to be variable. The way that people are going to have to go about trying to solve that problem isn't necessarily going to fit that biomechanical ideal.
Gotcha.
I don't know how many times I could say biomechanical in that little rant,
sentence. But I mean, yeah, because there are instances, especially like more at the professional level than anything else. But again, that's hard to explain in the sense because when you're at the professional level, like your movement patterns, your I guess problem-solving approaches are much better than amateurs in that case. So generally, when we think like when I was talking about the ideal movement, we're talking more at the amateur level because there's far more amateur data than there will be professional data.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing when it comes to these models that you see people create for biomechanical ideals, right? So it's not like, for example, with K-Vest and Blast, etc., that they haven't like gotten a pro to use it and then be like, oh, this is how they move. Like this, we take the best in the world, we put it on them, and we get the readings, and then we create a model around it. The problem is that sample size is way too small. You made an ideal oftentimes around a very few people, whereas if this, when it comes to sample size, like the sample size there is too small. You will find much more variation when you start looking at a bigger sample size. But then the question becomes, what do you do with that variation? Because if they're all elite and you have variation and then you build a model based upon the average, this is what the elites do. And then you try to be average of those elites. Well, then maybe you don't become elite. I don't know. Because you're going for the average, you're not going for what works best for you.
Yeah, and I mean that's where data validation becomes so important too. At what point does your sample size become reliable? And I mean there's different ways to kind of validate data. I know one that I'm most familiar with, it's Cronbach's Alpha, which you're basically just testing the data set against itself and seeing at what point is I think they use 50%. At what point is 50% of the variability explained with each swing?
Right.
So, in a way, we can solve that. And then that bat speed off Riley's double, 73.1 miles an hour. Which, again, like it's hard to say. This kind of goes back into it. So, like, if we're like using Blast, if we're training college hitters, we say, hey, try to aim for low 60s, high 70s. The issue with that is, in the bat speed format, as I mentioned, that collision efficiency, that's based on a wood bat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to make like some kind of adjustments for a metal bat. So if you don't have something like Blast, but you can track exit velocity and pitch velocity, just be wary of that, because then it's going to be, okay, well, why are my numbers saying this? In a sense. But basically what I'm trying to get at is there's still so much opportunity for development and like seeing how things play out in terms of kind of what data we see. And yes, like it's easy to be like, okay, we have this new software, etc. Let's test it on the best of the best. But then you can still get actionable insights from amateur level, and you'll probably have a far greater opportunity for data at that level. And obviously, in the sense that a lot more data, it's a lot easier to be validated. In that case, approach the amateur side.
I think too, the other thing that you have to be aware of is like, and this came up with I believe in Max's conversation, that sometimes only the individual like data from that one moment is actually useful. So like when you start aggregating things across multiple different individuals, you can't come up with anything that really explains well what's going on. And so we have to kind of remember that it's in a way unique to the individual, and you're not an average, right? An average person is not a person that exists. And so this is where, to me, you have to be careful when it comes to, looking at aggregate data, and trying to draw conclusions from aggregate data, and just understand that oftentimes is not a real individual. And so that's where we have to look at, like, what are the whole idea of doing like comparisons, like let's compare you to another person. Let's just see, like, are there other people who move like you and are able to be successful with the strengths or weaknesses that you have, or with the abilities or profile characteristics that you have.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about, though.
No, it is. I'm not saying that like looking at aggregate data isn't useful, or that you shouldn't. Just
no, but I see what
that
you're
is a
saying,
limitation of it.
Because like one way to do this is you can't look at average in the sense that like it's hard to compare someone who is like 6'4", 220 to someone who's like 5'9", 170.
Mm-hmm.
Because their limbs and ligaments vary differently. And like you mentioned earlier, like in terms of weightlifting, someone who's smaller has less distance to go.
Mm-hmm.
And more or less, I mean, that could theoretically create more strain on the bigger person.
Right.
Because they have to lift more weight because they have to go a further distance.
Well, I mean, this goes back to this notion too that we are a complex adaptive system, and with complex systems, because of the interactions, you don't always get the same results, even if you have similarities between people. So even if there are similarities, you can still get a wildly different result, even though somebody else who has the same characteristics isn't able to achieve the same results. And it's because we're complex. And so there's a lot of factors that go into play to producing those types of results. So I think we have to remember that too. But, we've talked a lot about on our podcast, the importance of like the mental side of the game. Like for a lot of things, like if you believe you can do something, like that really helps out a ton of you being able to be successful. So I don't think you should have a limiting belief in terms of what I'm saying, but just remember that because of the complexity of what we're dealing with when it comes to talking about players and coaching, that things don't always work out perfectly. Just you can't have like this formulaic way to approach things and expect to get like the exact same result, because we are complex adaptive systems.
Right. It's
This first pitch will be very important.
it's a way to kind of approach problems differently. So, like from an analytical perspective, yes, it's easy to say, hey, let's have, in a perfect world, we would want, hey, let's have this formula, we plug in these numbers, this is the result we want. So that rarely happens. It never happens, basically.
Well, and this is where you have to remember that like machine learning works really well in situations where the outcome is very formulaic. Like you put in this input and then you get this output. It struggles when things become a lot more complex and like real life, where there's a lot more factors. Yes, can machine learning discover some similarities and patterns in there that it's hard for us to see? Yes, but it's really hard to train the model then, and that's why I think it doesn't do as well at times. Or at least that was my understanding when I was in my machine learning class. But we have to just remember that, like,
yeah, and I mean, no, you're perfect. You've understood it in a way that makes sense, because realistically, no machine learning model is going to be 100% perfect. When you plug it into an ROC AUC curve, or you do a confusion matrix, like, if your model is 100% perfect, there's something wrong with your model. Because it can't explain everything. Because again, like you mentioned, one big side of the game is the mental side. Can we quantify that in some way? Sure. Is it easy to quantify? Absolutely not.
Well, and two, again, like there's this idea of emergence. Like you can't break things down into their component parts and still have the same thing. And then assume that you can just like put them back together and then you get the same thing that you like had taken apart. That's not necessarily how it works. And so that's
Right.
kind of the same thing that I'm saying here, is that we need to be careful to not be overly reductionistic, because sometimes the scientific process can maybe tell you the what and the how, but it doesn't always tell you the why, or in the sense of like what's the meaning behind it. Like, what do we do with this? So that's one of the other things that I've been looking into a little bit, is like the difference between science and meaning. Like, and I think that plays into like when it comes to how we approach the game. How do we still keep the human side of it in there, and not just reduce it to a bunch of like deterministic numbers?
Yeah, because in the way, like, yes, there's parts to a whole, but really, like, think about it this way. If I ask you, hey, Garrett, take this car apart piece by piece, and I say, okay, great, you took the car piece by piece, now put it back together. Are you going to put it back together in that exact way you took it apart? No. Because there's just so many moving parts to it that you can't, there's no way you can reconstruct what you just deconstructed. As we go to a commercial break! As, hey, the Braves got on the board. And we're taking a commercial break too. We'll be back in 20.
I know, right? I need to
20-second timeout.
Yeah, I wish I had a good like little. Do I have a blank screen that I can roll up here?
Just throw it up there. I mean, if not, it's fine.
There we go. There's a blank screen. I need to take off my sweatshirt, but it's still. There's the audio is still live. Mute. for the audio's not back. There we are.
Austin Riley. No hits through 3. The last pitcher with no hits allowed through the first 3 innings in a World Series game. I was calling with Tim McCarver, and you, John Smoltz,
Come on.
were on the mound at Yankee Stadium. Strike 1 is into Michael Brantley. Alex Bregman, Jordan Alvarez.
Strike 1 is into Michael Brantley. Was that what you just heard on the TV?
Yes.
All right.
I sure did.
Pitch 2 on its way. Curveball.
That's a little looping foul ball.
There's that slider.
Looked like a
Another
curveball.
card. John Smoltz.
Let's see what Savant says. We got.
Johnny Smith.
Savant is behind. We're 2 pitches in, and I only still... Here, we're going to refresh it.
Fifth
See
inning
the
on
one.
Jack Morris. John, you start.
Yeah, we got 2 curveballs.
That was at Skydome.
I'm still behind. My Savant is ahead of me. It's telling me what's about to come up.
I'm going to guess fastball up.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that pitch in that location. I like fastball up and in. Quite honestly, that's probably one of my favorite pitches. Because I think it's really hard to get to that pitch. It's not that hard to get to a fastball up and away, relatively
Now,
speaking.
Let me ask you this, too. At the big league level, obviously, guys are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
What about the college level? Do you think you'd get enough swing and miss
Yes.
on a fastball up and in that you should throw it enough?
No, well, I mean just fastball up in general. I think
Because
you'd get
more or
more
less-
swing and misses with that.
More or less, like, in a way, like, I kind of have a feel for the answer, but I want to hear your thoughts.
What was the...
Because I can back it up with, like, our data that we've
Mhm.
used at Quincy. I can back it up with any other data sources collegiately.
But like up and in, that it's... I don't know if guys would chase that as much. Quite honestly. But, I mean... But I do think just up in general, I do think guys would chase at up in general. And I think up and away, too, you would get just as much chase. Like, I think guys really do struggle with that pitch that's up.
Look at this spin direction, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Something you like to see.
I missed that last changeup that he struck out on. I feel like that would be a... Like, because to me, that tells me a lot. Like, okay, after seeing 2 changeups down, what was different about that last changeup that made him want to chase that? I could probably go back and watch it, but we're just going to keep rolling here. Dude, that changeup, man, like, that changeup up that he just threw Bregman, I feel like that's a oops mistake, and you get hurt on that pitch.
Yeah. But also, you're probably not... Bregman's probably not thinking changeup here.
No, but, I mean, I don't feel like that pitch is as hard to hit as that one that's down.
Yeah.
Like, those are the mistakes that get hit.
Which
But-
I'm actually curious about. I don't know if I can pull it up quickly.
7 at bats, does have
Um,
the RBI, the sac fly he delivered in game 1.
Let's see.
2 rather,
Okay.
first inning, that's high. The count 3-1.
What are Anderson's ball to strike ratios right now? I feel like, and obviously because we've been talking, I haven't watched the whole game as closely. I just feel like he's not in the zone nearly as much as I would like.
Yeah, that's... Let's go to old handy-dandy baseball savant, which was what we're on
That right
now.
there is a good pitch. Like, that pitch is hard to hit. That was up and in. I mean, those pitches I feel like are always really hard to hit.
Yeah.
And this is why I mean, like, a fastball up and in, like, higher, is just super hard because you got to get that thing out in front in order to hit it well and not get jammed.
Yeah, you can't get jammed. So, that being said, again, like, I just kind of relay it to the college level. Do you think there will be enough guys to swing at that pitch up and in?
Not necessarily unless you get the guy in swing mode. And then at some level, it doesn't really matter what you throw. if he's just
because
in
I mean, if you look
finding a
at
swing.
like an overall batter at Division 1 or Division 2. I mean, even within divisions too, there's probably a big drop-off difference there.
Well, I mean,
I'm
too,
sure
it depends what kind of stuff you have.
More guys would probably swing up and in D1 than D2.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you're the data guy. What do you got? What's the data say?
More guys swing up and in D1, D2.
Then D2?
Yeah. But
is it because
it's fairly similar middle up, though?
What if it has to do with action capabilities? Guys who are D1 have a greater action capability to hit that pitch, and so therefore they swing at it more. Or because, they're better athletes, they think they may have the action capability to do that, and hence they'll swing at it. Whereas like D2 guys, because their action capabilities may be less overall, they don't swing at that pitch because it doesn't afford hitability as it would to a D1 player.
Yeah. It could be action capabilities.
Or it could also be the stuff that they're seeing. Division 1 players see better stuff, harder stuff, nastier stuff. I mean, when you're, just think, if you're facing a Aroldis Chapman or Aaron Hicks, I mean, just by the mere fact of you knowing how hard that pitch is coming, just makes you feel like you got to be ready to swing, and you're going to end up swinging at things that you don't actually want to swing at.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just think that's true of when you're facing better pitching, you're generally going to be in that mindset. I better be ready to swing at this because their stuff is nasty.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like he's getting.
What is his ball to strike ratio?
So you got 7 balls in play, 6 fouls, 16. That's 23. 29. He's at 59 right now. So I think his ball strike ratio is just under 50%. So right now it says 60 pitches, or after this pitch, 60 pitches,
Yep.
29 strikes.
Yep. So I mean, to me, that's not very good. I can't remember what we need a pitching coach on here. Where's George Zirkle? Tell us what the right ratio is. I've heard maybe 60% or so.
Yeah, that's the general trend, 60%. I know our guys try to aim for 60%. But then, okay, how, if we're in a game like this, where he's throwing less than 50% strikes, and he's struggling to find the zone, yet there's a 0 on the board, how do we, give him a short leash? Are we...
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you just have to watch the game, so to speak. I mean, him being at a less than 50% strike ratio just means that he's going to potentially run himself into more trouble. That's all. I mean, if they're swinging
potentially, but
if they're getting themselves out on the pitches that he's throwing for strikes, he can get away with it. That's fine. But I mean, if he walks this guy right here, now you got 2 guys on. Now, granted, it's 2 outs, so again, that helps him out. He's not in as much danger there. But I mean, now he puts a guy in scoring position, and a single is going to score a run, and it's going to be tied up. So that's where, to me, the Correa and other guys can be more selective if he's not in the zone enough. You can be way more selective. It puts more pressure on the pitcher to make pitches. And you as a hitter can start to focus more on the pitches that you hit well.
Well, even then, with Garcia too, he is right now, 39 divided by 70, so he's hovering around 50% right now.
He's lucky that hit him.
55%.
Pitch hit Correa.
Yeah, he is lucky that I hit him because
2 on with 2 out, runners at
That was going to be a first and third situation right there.
So that's hit by pitch.
first to third, no problem.
And see, this is
But yeah, and then kind of the other question you approach this is, okay, well, this is where kind of the stuff we talked about with Max, where we use stuff plus, location plus.
now you've created some
Um,
stress by walking the next 2
You know,
yards.
maybe he's not locating it well, but it could be, hey, I have good stuff that day, and guys are just laying off. Now we can't tell easily right now whether or not that's the case. Locationally, yeah, he's more than likely not doing well based on ball strike ratio.
We're looking for in any sport.
But I mean, here's a good example though. He's walked what, 2 guys? Right? Is that how those 2 guys got on?
Chance for the Astros.
I believe so. He's got 3
Right?
walks, 3 Ks.
Did he just call that a strike? Ooh, that sucks. Sucks for Tucker. But
See if they try to pick on that again. That would be
like,
to go again.
it allows Tucker to be more
Tucker, of course,
more picky as far as what he's looking for. Granted, now they called that first one a strike. It puts the advantage back towards Anderson.
2 on with 2 out.
But then he goes and does that. I mean, if he comes back like
Ball 1 strike.
now I think if I'm Tucker, I'm still hunting for a pitch that I like here.
Quiet now.
You know, I don't feel as defensive as like, oh man. But I mean, granted, again, these guys
I
are
made a 1-1
professional
count.
hitters, and they're and the pressure that it would be on like a Division I kid, a D2 kid, or you know otherwise.
This postseason.
And I,
But hey, there you go, right there.
gets a changeup down.
Dude.
Do you think? I mean, do you think? Think about it this way in terms of like overlaying pitches, tunneling, etc. Do you think Tucker wanted a fastball away and he was going to hit that?
I
And
don't
then
know.
It just came changeup out of hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, again, what was the count? 2-1? Or no, it was a 1-1. I mean, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Because to me, like, if it's a 2-1 count, like, he's looking for a pitch that he can do damage with. I mean, for whatever reason, that ball he thought afforded him a hit, so he swung at it. I mean, clearly it was not. That for Anderson was a good pitch. To me, like that, because that's what I was wondering when Brantley swung at that other changeup for strike 3. That pitch there that Anderson threw was very similar to the ones that he threw to Brantley that went for 2 balls. And then for whatever reason, he got him to swing at it again. But maybe it's because, again, if you're guessing fastball there and he throws you a changeup, I mean, you're going to get yourself out there. Whereas, to me, if we're training hitters to be fully present, to fully couple their movement to the pitch that's in front of them, not even worrying about fastball, whatever, just be fully in the moment, fully connected to what's happening right there, maybe he's able to adjust better and either hit it or take it. I don't know. Because I think when you put in your mind, like, I'm anticipating X happening, and then X doesn't happen, then all of a sudden it throws off what you're trying to do and the movements that you're making. So then you, like, stutter or whatever, and then you mishit the ball.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's why, you know, anticipation is a double-edged sword. It can make you look really good or really bad. I'm not saying that was what was happening there.
But so based on his 3 pitches, or actually, let me get a 4th one in there. So I'll just call this 106. So based on 1-1 counts this season,
You want to share that?
Yeah.
Maybe I can throw that up in the stream. I just have to.
Anderson throws a fastball 44% of the time. A changeup 40% of the time. So it's give or take in that count.
buddy Eddie Vedder with long way.
I mean, I wonder why Anderson went to that pitch. I mean,
No score, fourth inning.
then again, I don't, because I think that was the right pitch. Like, that was a good
think-
pitch.
Because, and part of it too is maybe intuitively he's thinking, hey, right now my changeup's my best pitch today. I'm just going to throw it.
Well, I mean, and two, Tucker's a kind of a dangerous hitter. I mean, let's see if I can get him, because the count's 1-1. I mean, if I throw it low and it's just 2-1, you know, like it's again trying to keep him off, you know, keep his timing off and to not get solid contact, which worked out perfectly there.
One pitch.
Yeah. So that's just one of the many factors that goes into potentially
Let's let Luis Garcia tell us about his delivery.
get the result that you want
Gently rocking.
from a pitching side.
And then wham.
Also time.
Because yeah, it could be, hey, change up, you know, that's my best pitch today, so I'm gonna keep throwing it. Or it also could be,
Got a great smile.
hey, I know Tucker's a good fastball here. I just threw him 2 fastballs. I'm not gonna throw him a
And
third.
that delivery works for him. They've been working on a couple things in between starts.
You know, and a team like the Astros
He has been
could either team really could really think
Anderson lines out 2 pitches, 2
about those questions where, hey, you know, what does this guy do if he gets 3 fastballs in a row? Like, how is he on the 3rd fastball? And you could subset it even more particular by saying, okay, if I threw him 2 fastballs away, how was he going to do with a 3rd fastball away? As Garcia is done for the day, 3 2/3,
And Dusty Baker is going to take
or not?
the
No,
right-hander out
wait.
with Rosario.
Oh yeah,
coming up.
he's done.
The lefty Blake
Bringing a lefty to
Taylor's
face
coming in.
Rosario.
A lefty to face Rosario? Doesn't Rosario hit lefties better than righties?
Hey, we'll see.
I mean, it's Dusty Baker, so, you know. I mean, he's got to know
Does
what he's
he?
doing.
I mean, you would know more about Eddie Rosario's splits than I would.
I mean, I've just been listening to the commentary in some of the games that I've been watching. I'm pretty sure that's what they were saying.
Well, and then this is a good segue to talk about this. You know, whenever I'll typically look at splits, whenever like we're scouting an opponent, or you know, trying to project player futures, I always will use career splits because that is less volatile than season splits.
I mean, you could even go to the point of, like, has this guy ever faced this pitcher before? What are his splits against, you know, the pitchers that you have in your bullpen? Or against the type of stuff that your pitchers throw. I mean, that might be another better way to approach it. Instead of just looking at lefty-righty, like, what types of pitches does he struggle with? Which kinds of, or which pitchers that I have actually match that weakness in terms of the pitches and the arsenal that they have.
I mean, let's look. Advanced split. So we're looking at WOBA.
You know what's interesting on that last hit? That was the line out to the first baseman. That exit velo was only 71. It looked like it was firmer than 71. I'll be honest.
That's true.
But I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
we've both dealt with radar units / I mean, they're using Hawkeye, which is that's more of a camera-based system, correct?
Yeah.
But
Because they use Hawkeye, if I remember correctly, I think it's like 25 total cameras fixated on different positions.
Mm-hmm. So maybe that's more accurate. I don't know.
MLB All-Star Game.
Maybe.
But there's been plenty of
but yeah,
times, right, where we see like the radar gun / flight scope or TrackMan or whatever, and you're just like, that was not what my eyes read.
The numbers for Garcia, 72
So.
pitches, 3 2/3.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you many times I'm sitting behind flight scope and ball is hit, and I'm like, There's no way that's the Ed Zavila.
With 2 out and nobody on.
It seemed harder or it seemed softer than it actually was. Rarely it seems softer. It seemed harder.
Dude, that's a great pitch right there. Lefties, dude, I think the hardest thing about a lefty is that the ball is basically moving away from a left-handed hitter or moving in on a right-handed hitter. No way. Okay.
I was going to say, you almost hit a home run there.
I know. I was about to be like, whoa. I mean, I've always, and I know we've talked about it on the podcast before. I was trying to look for what episode that was in. Talking about, to me, Rosario is one of the more kind of adaptable / dexterous hitters. I won't say he's the most, because obviously there are other guys that are much better than him in the bigs, but like I think people underrate how good of a hitter he is. I mean, for the pitches that he gets to and hits, like being a like for example, that right there, bad ball hitter, you know, again, two strikes, again, taking what's open to him, right? Not the whole, but like a lot of the left side of the field is open to him right there.
I mean, look on the live at bat feed, right? That we have up.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we go
look
back
at that.
batter.
What's the bat speed on that one?
That pitch is what, 2.5, 3 balls above the top of the strike zone?
Yeah.
And yet he is able to hit that ball. So 91 off the bat with a 95 pitch speed. So let's look at it.
And for the height of that pitch, too. I mean, because that's where, like, for me, it's not all about bat speed. It's like, because this is where I look at it. Like, what's the count? It's an 0-2 count, right? And the pitch is up. So to me, he's not trying to swing as hard as he possibly can there. Right? So therefore, to me, his bat speed, like, we shouldn't always be focused on his bat speed. Because like, that doesn't always lead to you having a positive batted ball outcome, just having the highest bat speed possible. So to me, it's just like we want to give you the ability to have a really high bat speed to hit the ball far, but you don't need to live there all the time.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, it's still bat speed's still an important driver.
I don't know when Ian. I don't know if you're still watching or when you popped in and said hello. But what's up, Ian? Long time no see.
I always felt like in this series, there's a lot of pressure on the left-handed hitters for the Braves because the power arms for the.
But that's awesome. We finally got our first chat.
Yeah, let's go. First chat, Ian. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know thy gnome? But yeah, I mean, bat speed still plays a role.
Bat speed's important. I'm not saying bat speed's not important.
Yeah.
Don't get that in your head. But I do see people sometimes take it too far. Like just back if we were to talk about strength. Oh, you need to lift the house. No, not necessarily. Like you do need to be like there's a level of strong enough. Just in the same way, like when it comes to bat speed, you need to have your bat speed be like fast enough. Like there is definitely a floor to give you the ability to play at a high level.
Right, because then it comes down to, then in that case, it might come down to affordances too. Mm-hmm. Are you afforded a higher bat speed in that pitch location that Rosario swung at?
Well, I mean, in theory, yes, but I wouldn't quite use affordance in that way.
In theory, yes. But how would you use affordance?
You want to use it in the inverse in terms of like what does that pitch afford you? Does it afford him to use a higher bat speed there? If that makes sense. So you want to kind of flip the order of it a little bit.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, sure, if you are able to do that, but more likely than not, you're not able to do that given that pitch location.
Right. The pitch location, maybe It's 0-2, right? Does that
It's a
pitch really
about up here.
right? Does that pitch really afford you swinging at your highest max bat speed? And the answer is probably not. Like, could you? Sure. Would you hit it? What's the likelihood of you hitting it if you're going at your max bat speed? Probably lower. And plus, again, perceptually, what does the system feel that it can do in that situation? And I would say it doesn't afford, or it didn't afford Rosario the ability to go at max bat speed. I don't know. What was the bat speed, by the way? We never got to that.
Oh, I said it was 60.4 miles an hour.
That's, again, probably not his best. I would assume.
No.
I would assume that he could at least get to his bat speed probably is at least 60 for max, at least 69 miles an hour, if not higher.
I mean, let's do that let's run that query real quick. Figure out Rosario's max bat speed.
Let's do it.
So, how you do that is you go to baseballsavant.mlb.com.
Hey, do you want to share your screen if that's doable? And then I'll throw this up.
Screen.
Throw this up in the feed somewhere. Oh yeah, we'll just do this. We'll do it like this.
All right, let me know if you can see it in Google Meet right now.
Oh yeah, we can see it. I'm putting it up on.
And then
the
let me
screen.
know when it's on the big boy screen.
Oh, it's whoa. Why is it like that? Oh, it's because you're showing us. I'm like, why am I seeing myself on the screen right now?
Oh, we are seeing ourselves.
All right, we're up. We're up on Baseball Savant.
All right, so how you do this is you go to batters, type in Eddie Rosario.
I also
Find
really like
him.
Gurriel too. He breaks a lot of people's technical models or ideal technical models that people have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then with that, you click on batter, and then you say, we'll say like metric range. One way to do it is say exit velocity greater than or equal to 100. We'll just say make that a baseline. And sort by, so one way you could do it is average exit velocity. There's not like an easy way to do it max exit velocity wise, but you could say max exit velocity or average exit velocity, hit search.
Well, it's bringing
You
back
go
that
through
query. That last pitch to Gurriel was up. He swung at it, hit it. The other thing that I think that is nice about pitches that are up, they're really hard to barrel and to like hit out. Like a lot of times when you swing at pitches up, you hit pop flies. And I think that's one of the other reasons why I like the fastball up, or why Bauer really kind of pioneered that. He wasn't the one that I think came up with it, but really tried to put it to use. But anyways,
Excuse me.
I wonder
Ozzy
what
Alves is a nice play.
I wonder what Bauer's live discussion is like. It's obviously going to be way better than ours because way more people are going to be watching it.
Hey, we're gonna have a great discussion nonetheless, though.
Absolutely.
But anyways, before we get too much off on a tangent, so right here, so after you click, search, you just double click on exit velocity so you can see the highest. So this one against Jake Odorizzi on July 3rd, against the Astros. So his max exit velocity was against the Astros. 108.4 off the bat, 92.9 pitch speed. So you plug it into the formula. So 108.4, and then the pitch speed was 92.9. And so his max bat speed, 74.9 miles per hour.
There we go.
So he was 14 down from his max. As now we're off.
Yeah.
Houston Astros late time was granted.
But that's a quick and easy way to get someone's like max bat speed
Mm-hmm.
So that pitch did come
without
out the count.
requiring for
Still
coding.
0-1.
For those who,
It's
don't
one
want
of
to
those misty
code
reads that just
or can't
kind of
code as much,
bothers you more than it's
that's a quick and easy way to get max bat speed.
worth.
And that
And
formula,
that
is in the chat.
is posted in the chat,
Gonzalez,
to use
the
that.
switch hitter, strike 2.
so please use that.
Mm-hmm.
Marwin has been on postseason rosters in years past.
Wait, is Marwin back with the Astros?
Seasons with the
That's
Astros,
so interesting.
2012 through 18, and left as
Oh,
a
man.
free agent.
Yeah. And he just got
And now
sent back to the
Fernando
bench.
stands at the top of the fifth.
So that's tough.
I guess now
But yeah,
you're
he
ahead
had
of
an
me.
interesting-
You're ahead of me again.
Oh, how about that? Here we go.
Strikeouts.
But, anyways, I need to take a break.
Young right-hander.
So you can chat with folks while I go take a
Who
break.
wants to chat with me? Come on, baby. Here we go. Let's chat. Yeah. Let's get fired up for some chat.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Anyways, drop a
All
chat.
right, you
say
take
hi
a
to
break.
Robert.
Hello. All right, so today, class, we're going to talk about analytics and why it's important. All right. It's important because we do a very good job of understanding and analyzing this data. We look at Savant Feed, live at bat. We ask questions. Hey, how can we solve this problem? And then that's where Garrett comes in with the ecological dynamics ideology. But we're on the topic of analytics. It's important. I'll preach it all day long. It's something I enjoy looking at because it allows me to ask those unique questions. Like, like something I learned today that we were talking about, bat speed will typically be lower when it's up in the zone. Bat speed will be higher when it's down in the zone. Because based on that formula, exit velocity plays a greater role than pitch velocity. So obviously, in most cases, pitch velocity is lower when you throw it lower in the zone, but when it's higher in the zone, higher pitch velocity. But in turn, lower exit velocity when it's higher in the zone, higher exit velocity when it's lower in the zone. Affordances. I just want to throw in the word affordances. Oh, Garrett's back.
For the live stream. I'm just talking to myself.
Talking to myself. I guess I don't know if you guys heard Garrett, so here we are.
Well,
the one thing I wanted to tell you was the splits for Rosario. Woba career against lefties, 301, career versus righties, 339. But again, that's where you ask those questions like, what about this guy's pitch arsenal?
Mm-hmm. Wait, you want to play that back one more time? What was his righty-lefty split career?
Career-wise, 301 Woba versus lefty, 339 versus righty.
Okay. Yeah. And then what is it this year?
Handshake from Brian Snitker. That
Season alone.
After 5 no-hit innings. We'll see. Yimi Garcia
Going
takes
back.
over for Houston. Deals with the heart of the lineup.
Woba-wise.
Oh, get over.
281 versus lefty, 330 versus righty.
Okay, so he's still better.
So the
against
numbers
rights.
fell off, but
Really good pickup.
still better against right.
One of the 3 big arms that the Astros got before the deadline to help get them.
I guess if you want to be very specific, this year on the road against lefties, he's better versus on the road against righties.
And now pitching in the World Series for Dusty Baker. He's got one of them quick arms. He kind of whips the ball to the plate with some electric stuff and good movement. for Riley. The RBI double his last time up.
Should I invite Ian to come join us?
Hit the knees. Good pitch.
If you want to.
Well, I don't know. It would definitely change the conversation, I'm sure.
Said, most of these teams have hit
A little bit.
conditions, you know, the dome of
So
Messing out.
Ian was at Missouri State last year with me.
now they're going to be challenged with pitches.
Pitcher, left-handed pitcher.
Nice pick by Gurriel.
Ian McMahon.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's Ian McMahon.
And he's really become
Look at that pick.
2 down.
So hey, that's a good thing to talk about though.
Would have been much more difficult.
Remember in game 1, Gurriel tried going with 2 hands and he muffed it. This time he went 1 hand and made the play. Moral of the story is it's a feel thing. You don't always have to use 2 hands.
I mean, what does the ball afford? You know, what's a better way of solving the problem? Sometimes it's better to solve the problem with
Because,
2 hands,
honestly,
and
if
other
you-
ways.
If you cross over and use both hands to field the ball, there's a higher chance that this hand is going to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, your body's in an awkward position if you feel it like this versus this.
Right.
Your chest is still squared, whereas your chest is kind of at an angle at this point because your arm's getting crossed over.
Mm-hmm.
Yimmy brings it. Ball 1.
Dude, that's got some nice movement.
Picked up from the Marlins at the end of July.
What we got for movement metrics? Let's look at our live AB.
Marlins closer. They also have
Which,
Theo Graveman, who was
That's another thing. Like the live AB is kind of misleading.
doesn't get the call.
Because then if you go to like box score, or
So they are good
I
with
think
that
box
in the
score.
bullpen. That doesn't even count Ryan
or
Stanek.
player breakdowns,
Yeah,
maybe.
last 3. It's tough to.
Let me get that exact one so I'm not telling you incorrect information.
Here's a 2-1. 3-1.
Player breakdowns. So you go to player breakdowns and then you look at their movement. You'll see like Max, for like Garcia's, Yimi Garcia, I should say. If you look like at his movement, you can see like, 18 inches max on a sinker, 17 on his average. But then if you go to the at bat, you'll see like 27, 28, 26. So they're using varying vertical break, and I wonder if this one, the one that they show in live, is out of hand, and the one that they show in the player breakdown is from 50 feet, I believe. Because there is a difference there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be tough for a lot of people to understand why.
But more or less, whatever you feel more comfortable with or is easier to understand, that's the one you go with. Because I think this is out of hand versus.
I'm sure Brian Snickers said,
okay,
you did an unbelievable job. You pitched behind in the count quite a bit.
Versus
We're going to go to our bullpen from here.
50 feet or so. And we can always ask too.
Let's go to Kenny Rosenthal.
So Ian Anderson is going to get taken out at the exact point.
Or wait, I was looking at it wrong. Hold up.
Just as he was about
That
to
might
face
be.
the opposing lineup for the 3rd time. And
I
that's
might
the way
be saying
games
it
are managed
completely
this year,
incorrect.
Particularly managed this way in the postseason.
Yeah, I think I might have said it incorrectly. So scratch what I just said. They do match up, and I think it's movement out of hand.
Well, there's another layer. I get it. Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Because then, like in if you pull like data from Statcast, if you want to look at the movement types, it's PFXX and PFXZ, which are horizontal and vertical movements. I can pull up the documentation.
What count you got right now on your TV?
Yeah, 1-2.
Okay.
Totally agree. And you got 3 games in a
Now
row,
2-2.
So you're basically going to.
Oh, okay, I'm still behind a little bit.
And the more an offense gets to see the bullpen
That's all right. We're doing all right.
Like this, the better the offense gets.
Um,
And
H3D.
I can buy into a regular
What was I
season.
doing? Oh, StatCast CSV search. So,
That'll bring in Darno, and we'll send it to Tom Verducci.
Yeah, Joe, I like you bringing up the other side of the coin. I wasn't seeing really good swings against
wow.
Anderson.
What?
Good effort by Altuve, though. When you see it.
Well, I'm having to back it up because I went forward and then I'm like, oh, I missed it.
I'm sure, okay. Someone could be taken out without giving up a hit. So you're basically going to see these guys a lot. And the more...
Oh, wow. Yeah. But I want to see the fielder's
Yeah, after the
position on
ball.
this.
See, wouldn't that be cool to get out the MLB film room with the stick figures live? Because then we could be able to see the fielder's position there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the other thing that I was watching earlier was in maybe the first game, like Rosario beating out a ground ball to the shortstop because the shortstop was shifted over so much or just not in his traditional position that like you really got to get rid of the ball faster, even if it's kind of hit to you when you're in a shifted position, because you had to travel further to go get that ball. I don't know. It just seems as though like because guys are in different positions, balls that you think they would be able to get a guy out on, like they actually, it's much harder, even though they field it, to actually throw the guy out.
Yeah. Because, based on, like, StatCast, like, infield outs above average models, too, like, the more ground you have to cover, the less likely you are to make that play.
Mm-hmm. So even though you're further back, you're playing further back in, like, the infield, like, on the grass, in the outfield, and you're able to cover more ground, but it's still hard to throw the guy out. What you got for count?
0-2.
Okay. Let me know when you get to 2-1.
2-1?
Sorry. 0-2. Never mind.
You mean 1-2?
Yeah, 1-2, but I just realized I'm looking at the thing over here. It's still going to be 0-2 because it was a foul ball.
0-2 pitch. Ball 1.
No, just kidding. Yeah, are you to 1-2 yet?
I am at 1-2.
Did it just happen, or are you a little bit further?
A little bit further.
And then walked Soler. The infield hit by Duvall. Darno hit the homer on the road. Hard to believe he hasn't hit a homer at home. Hasn't played all year.
Now we're at 2-2.
Okay, I got to speed this thing up. Let's go.
With a tear in his left thumb. 1-2. Wonder how that thumb feels on a night like
Yeah, we'll just go to live.
in game 3.
Oh, it's talking about Jose Altuve.
Top of the order coming up. That means
And out of the inning.
All right, I think we're pretty synced up now.
1-0
Hey, that's
in game 3.
what we want. Synced up ball game. Jose Altuve. Altuve, Brantley, Bregman. I don't know. I got a good feeling about Michael Brantley, though.
He's a freaking good
I think-
hitter.
He is a good hitter. I think he'll find some grass on this next AB.
I mean, I think a lot of people like him because he also fits a very traditional model. Like, he's very quiet. His swing is very quiet. Seems very simple.
Yeah. He doesn't do anything like crazy. I'm curious to see what his swing take profile is.
What do you mean? Like what it looks like
So-
when he takes a pitch, or what do you mean?
Basically, how much run value he gets from swinging or taking.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because basically this data, overall, it says he's a plus 15 run value hitter,
Mm-hmm.
but he's more passive than he is aggressive. Because in the heart zone, which is pretty much like pitches in the middle of the plate, he's worth -2 runs. In the shadow zone, he's worth -11 runs. In the chase zone, he's worth plus 20 runs. In the waste zone, he's worth plus 8 runs.
So wait, you're saying that he's worth more when he swings at pitches outside of the zone?
No, he's basically, it takes the intrinsic run value
Mm-hmm.
of
Oh.
swinging or taking based on where it was. the
So,
ball was
okay,
pitched.
okay, gotcha.
So you'll get more run value if you
Yep.
swing at pitches in the middle of the plate versus out of the plate.
Mm-hmm.
So what this is saying is he gets a ton of value by not swinging at pitches.
Yeah.
But then it's costing him because he's rather passive at swinging at pitches.
So it's
or not
costing him
swinging at pitches.
at pitches that are in the zone a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So that's what the negative
But it-
part is saying.
Yes.
Okay.
It's costing him by taking pitches there. So he takes more pitches than he swings at, which costs him runs. And then when it's outside of the zone, he's not so he's taking those pitches and it's giving him runs.
So what's interesting is, at least from what I've heard listening to interviews, the Braves have a very aggressive approach at the plate. So, like, and it sounds like that's a team philosophy. I wonder what the team philosophy is with the Astros, and if that plays with Brantley's style of play, or if that's influencing how Brantley is, how aggressive he is or not. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, if I'm working with Brantley, I'm just going to let Brantley do what, what he does. Just let him gonna be himself. I'm sure that's going to work out just fine.
Look at that. Ian Anderson out of the game. Do you like that call?
Given the ball strike ratio that he had, I'm okay with it.
I also agree with that. I think his stuff was there, but when you go third time through the order, it'll
There's
start
that
to catch
too.
up.
Yeah. And two, it's a one-run game right now. So.
Yeah. So you kind of ask yourself, okay, what's the probability that he'll give up a run in this inning? And is that a greater probability than bringing in someone like A.J. Minter?
Given what he's done, this postseason, it's kind of in a way, the most conservative move to make.
Yeah. If you want to get very conservative, you would bring in Tyler Masek right now to face the top of the order for the Astros.
Cutting fastball, the cutter.
That pitch,
What
nasty.
you got for count?
2-2.
I also have 2-2.
Nice. Is he about to pitch it right here?
2-2 from Minter.
He is.
Foul ball?
And foul ball. So I'm slightly behind you now.
Oh, okay.
What are the odds?
What
Can
are
never
the
get
odds?
synced up.
Very nice. And that's in slow motion.
Bregman bunting the ball?
Bregman. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Here's a 2-2 Altuve, first up in the sixth.
And the pitch. Ooh.
Minter one away.
Ooh. Another cutter.
Close.
Like that.
Michael Brantley,
That there.
our player resume sponsored
To me,
Is
like you just missed the
that's
plane of the
that's
pitch.
probably yes. But then if you think about it from the pitcher side, like what's the stuff plus, what's the location plus? Like obvious location.
Do you
plus, that's
got?
a great pitch.
Well, I mean, where's Max when you need him? Like, what do you got on that? You able to potentially get?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to get it right this moment.
Okay.
After the game, sometime tomorrow, yes,
Okay.
but not right at this moment.
Fair enough. Woo. Did he steal that pitch?
Man, that I don't know about that. That was a pitch that was off.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's
I
a
wonder if
nice
Brantley's
frame right there.
Is that?
Let's go back
yeah,
there.
That was outside. Does he go back there?
Woo. Woo. 97.
No, he goes 97 gas.
I mean, again, to me, it's like, what was the spin on that? Oh, I didn't read it. Didn't read the spin. What's his average spin? I mean, you can see,
Are
like,
you kidding me?
he's
He
swinging
got
under it.
Telescope out there or something?
Yeah, right. But, you know what? I bet you that was decent. I wonder what the average spin that he has on his fastball. Four-seamer. Oh, it'll tell us right here what we got. 2,400. It's not bad. That's pretty high spin. What is considered high spin? Is it above 25? Is like 24 average? I can't remember.
Well, we can always do a quick query.
But I mean, like, that's where I see guys like on high spin fastballs, and that was almost 2,500. Like, guys tend to swing under them.
Yeah.
Cutter got on top
Which
of
is
it.
why it's nice to live up in the zone.
I mean, but even still, if it's a high spin pitch, that cutter had. Well, I suppose that makes sense. Cutter is a little bit like a curveball. So, yeah, it would make sense that it had more spin than your regular four-seam fastball.
Let's see. Four-seam fastball from left-handers. The average spin was 22.49.
So this is where like I don't understand. Like ground balls, I just think in general read hot. Did he really beat that thing like at 102 into the ground? Maybe, but
maybe not. Because yeah, that did not look like 102 off the bat. But also think about it this way too: the launch angle. You know,
ooh,
he could hit it right into the ground.
Ouch.
He
Am I
could
still
hit it
ahead of
right
you?
in the ground. No, he's already on the ground. But you could hit it into the ground and think the exit velocity, because at that angle you're hitting at it, you could hit it hard on the ground. It just seems softer because of the bounce.
Mm-hmm.
90-some miles an hour, cutting action.
Oh, okay, that hit his front foot. I thought it hit his back foot.
Nope, we're doing front foot tee, baby.
Ooh, ooh. Yeah, that's right where the bony part, or the... I don't know what the anatomical name for that is, but that's where that bony part of your ankle is. That cannot feel good at all. Oh, yeah. What a stud.
No, okay.
What a stud. Gonna find out later he's got like a fracture, kind of like Morton had. Pitched like how many pitches did he throw after he fractured his...
Oh,
his,
yeah, he threw like 8 pitches, and he struck out a batter.
Yeah.
That's still unbelievable to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Bregman feels like he's grinding and figuring out
But I mean, hey, it's the World Series. You're gonna try to stay in that thing as regardless of what happens to you.
That's right, because there's going to be a time and place where you ain't going to be playing baseball for months.
Mm-hmm.
Use that time to recover. You can play the next 4 days.
Oof, that was not a good throw over.
What? Okay, let me ask you this for throwers. Do you think it's a good idea for guys to just do like a whatever move and then go to their A move, or should it just be their A move regardless?
No, I think a whatever move is fine. You just don't lob it where you're about to lob it over the first baseman. That's all.
No, I'm just curious to hear thoughts because I've heard varying opinions. Like, why are you even doing like a lob throw?
Because you're trying to lull them to like. I mean, if you're going to get them out and it's going to be a matter of like milliseconds, just putting it in their head to be just slightly delayed and getting back. When you go to your A move, that could be the difference between you get between safe and out.
Then what about instead of a very slow move? What about just a like a 20% slower move?
Yeah, I mean, whatever to mess up his timing, to lull the runner to
But
sleep.
not like, oh, I'm gonna lift my leg up, then I'm just gonna almost lob it over Freeman's head.
Yeah, I mean that's for me. It's just you can't make an error in the process of what you're doing.
I think there's got to be some form of intent, is what I'm trying to get at.
I mean,
feel like
yeah,
there should be,
in a way.
If you throw over, there should be intent. But also, you could also theoretically argue, hey, there's intent.
Ooh. I mean, that seems kind of more like, just from this view, it looks like a slider more than it looks like a cutter. Just because he's a lefty. How much run did that pitch have?
Nowadays, how much run did that have?
That ball freaking looked like it.
Live at bat right now.
4? I don't know about that.
Yeah, that did look more like a slider. Or a sweeper, as they call them.
I mean, that was all. It says H break only 4 inches. That seemed way more than 4 inches. But maybe it's just the angle of the camera. I don't know. Parallax error?
Maybe. Or it's just that illusion that hey, there was a ton of drop, but not a lot of horizontal.
Fair enough.
Because again, like we're seeing it straight on.
Yeah.
You know, if we saw it at an angle, maybe we could see that better.
We're not straight on, are we? At least not the view that I have. I'm slightly on the.
Yeah, it's a slight angle. So I'm saying if we get more angle.
I mean, that pitch there, like, it just looks. I mean, one, I already know, like, right? He's a lefty. The ball is already moving away from him, and then now it's got that cut action to it, and it's going to move away from him even more.
So, are you like intuitively thinking, okay, if it starts away, I'm just going to leave it alone?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying that's a hard pitch to hit. I mean, those pitches look like they were ending up still in the strike zone. At least one of them was. So, I mean, you gotta figure out how to hit that sucker.
Yeah.
I mean, what's nice is it's not just a straight frisbee going straight to the side. I mean, it's got a little drop to it as well. I mean, that keeps guys from, because I mean, I even think that was probably maybe even a foul tip ball into the glove. You know, like you can barely tick it, but it's not enough, you know, for you as a hitter to do anything with. And that's where I think that pitch is one of the harder pitches to hit. But we'll see. What do you think, you know, bullpen-wise? Who's got the advantage here?
Bullpen, you mean arm barn?
Yeah, whatever. I first because I don't read very well, I thought they were talking about arm bars and hitting. I had no idea that we're talking about PETA and trying to rename
Bullpen.
something.
Bullpen. No, we're keeping it bullpen. But anyways, I gotta give it to the Braves. They have a better back end. So you can go Minter, then you can go to Maztec. Gosh, who else? Wow, I can't think of their pitchers right now. I'm literally drawing a blank. Wow, that's bad. I can't think of more than 2 relievers. Chris Martin's back there. Will Smith. That's what I was trying to think of. Will Smith. I mean, they do, and they have a ton of lot. And that's an advantage that I think the Braves have that's carried them, is they have a ton of good left-handed pitching in the bullpen. They have Minter. They have Maztec. They have Will Smith. Heck, you could even count Drew Smiley in there too. Though he might be the guy that replaces Charlie Morton in the rotation.
Are they back yet on your end?
No, are they back on yours?
No, but Savant
Okay,
Savant is telling me that they're back already.
Savant needs to calm down.
Bottom of the 6th inning, Dansby Swanson first up.
Let's see if I can run this feed any faster. Nope, we just got ball one. Camera's zoomed in on Dansby right now. Now it's back to Iri Adrianza. And we need a base hit here for one of the next 2 batters.
Ian said this like 4 minutes ago, but he's like, I can for 10 minutes, so I'll just share with him the link. I don't know.
Perfect.
I'd have to create a new thing for him when he comes in. Plus, your image or your image on the screen is going to get all jacked up when he pops in. So,
right.
If he does.
Lefty
Brooks Raley warming up for the Astros. I think he's going to come in and face Eddie Rosario.
Adrianza's a switch hitter. Count 2-1. Yeah, top of the lineup.
So Garcia's goal is to get the first 2 batters out.
Left-hander for the Astros.
And then Raley will come in to face Rosario.
2-1 on Swanson. 2 for 7 in this World Series. Not close. 3 balls and a strike.
This is where Swanson's got to look for one area, middle, in, and that's it.
3-1.
During the regular season, drove in 88. First overall pick in 2015.
And if you're Yimmy, you have to make him hit his way on.
See, like I said, that pitch up and in or just up in general, it's hard to do something with that thing.
It is.
I mean, because even if you get to it, like you might even hook the thing foul because you're just so early. I mean, it's really, to me, that pitch is a very difficult pitch to do something with.
What metric you want to look at this season on pitches up and in?
I don't know, hits? I don't know.
Average exit velocity?
Sure. Average exit. But I mean, like in a way, hits.
XwOBA?
XwOBA. Let's go with that. That might be interesting.
On pitches up and in. So we'll have to group this separately for righties and lefties. So. One. Right?
Need a 7th inning stretch? Hey Siri, tell me more about Apple Fitness Plus.
So we got zone 1 or zone
Who's
11.
pinch hitting right now?
Iri Adrianza.
Oh, another twin.
That's right.
First World Series at bat. After the first pitch, strike 1.
That seemed a little bit more slurvy than curvy.
Tunnels to get some swings.
Like a sweeper.
Some swings, but coming off the bench on a cold night.
Sure.
Outside, 1-1. Let's go to Kenny Rosenthal.
Joe, Adrianza is one of the Braves' most intelligent and best prepared players. The coaches never have to tell him to get ready. At the end of the 2019 season, he managed a game for the Twins in place of Rocco Baldelli after the Twins
All right.
clinched. But his goal
Let's
was not
look
to be a
at the
manager or
league
coach. He
average.
wants to be a
Righties.
GM.
League average to righties. 328 xWOBA on pitches up and in. Interesting.
I know, right? It's not bad.
Well, he had 72 pinch hit plate
And
appearances
then
this season, and he led baseball
against
in extra base
lefties,
hits coming off the bench.
pitches up and in.
16 hits total,
Let me change the zones real quick.
5 doubles, 3 pinch hit home
Zone
runs as
3,
he bats for AJ
Zone
Minter.
12.
Grounds 1, 2 Altuve. 2 down.
Lefty's only hitting 295 on pitches up and in.
I mean, that's still not horrible.
And back to the mound, Dusty Baker.
But then what's the league xWOBA?
I would just say let's just break it down to zone 3 or whatever versus 12, right? Because then you can maybe parse out too, like where you got to put it. And then
Yeah.
too, like I would also be interested to see if it's a righty lefty matchup. How hard is it? You know, a righty righty versus a lefty righty, and then vice versa.
So overall, league xWOBA is 315, and that's across all pitches. So,
Well,
okay.
I would only want to look at fastballs. I don't want, like, in a way.
All right, fastballs.
Because I guess the question is like, what type of stuff do you need to have to be in order to be successful throwing in that location? And while you're looking that up, I'm gonna take a break.
Break time.
Break time.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I hope he's muted. Wow, this game is zooming. Zoom, and vroom, vroom. Just shake your rump. All I want to do is zoom, and a vroom, vroom. Zoom, and a vroom, vroom. Just shake your rump. All I want to do is zoom, and a vroom, vroom. Just shake your rump. Okay, left. Left-handed batters, fastballs up. What we got? So we got 318 overall.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
here we
what
go, Rosario.
Up and away to Eddie Rosario.
Lefty matchup. Lefty with fastballs up, 343. That's interesting. I thought it was going to be less, which means lefty righty's 309.
Perfect situation so far for Dusty has worked out. He's been able
So
to
now,
left-handers with 2 outs.
let's focus on
Get him acclimated
righty
to
righty.
the Top left-handed hitters of the Braves and some wiggle room, right? Not in high stress situations.
So is then fastballs up and away better? Like what are their numbers on fastballs up and away?
Let me look at righties as well.
First, yeah. Woo, dude, that was a hack. He just
That's
missed
a
that
big
one.
hack.
I want to know that, like, for me, I want to know the bat speed on that one. I wish, like, and I know that you need an exit velo in order to determine that.
Right.
But
I would need the exit velo.
I mean, even that was a mishit. So.
Throughout the inning, nobody on, and the ball 3-1. Another lefty, Freddie Freeman next.
Righty, fastball's in 347 ex-Woba.
Rosario will be looking to rip one out.
Righty-lefty, fastball's in 301 ex-Woba.
3-1.
He wasn't looking for that. He didn't like that pitch.
Oh, yeah, he kind of half walked out of the box as the pitch was in flight. He was like, that ain't it.
Wait, is ex-Woba, that's expected, right? Or is that
Yeah.
based upon what the actual results are?
It's expected, which is based upon a few factors.
So what are the actual results? Like the actual, can you find actual batting average?
So, like, Woba.
Yeah, Woba. Because I wonder if there's a difference or a discrepancy from expected versus actual.
So, lefty, righty, or right-handed batter, left-handed pitcher matchups. Fastball's in 317 Woba versus 301 expected Woba.
So it's better.
Yes.
Reality is better than
Projected.
scenario. Yeah, projected.
But yeah, same thing. 353 Woba versus 343 ex Woba. Righty, fastball in.
Just in, up and in, right? We're talking up and in still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Up and in.
Okay, what about up and away then? Because if we're just comparing and contrasting, it's like, even though I like it, which is better? And then you might want to start looking at spin, because it's a question of stuff. Maybe not everybody's stuff actually plays up. Like, there are some people who like throw up and the ball gets up and in and they're able to hit it because that stuff is not the stuff that plays in that location.
Yes. That's one way to think about it. So, righty, up and away. Woba's 304. Ex Woba is also 304.
I mean, that's so like not that different that can't be the reason why guys set up and away more than they set up and in. I actually just think it's probably because guys are more afraid of hitting people. That's why they set up and away.
Away. But then if you do lefty-righty, so left-handed pitcher, right-handed batter, Woba's 368, ex-Woba 349.
Wow. That's a huge discrepancy.
So I guess righties are better throwing away to righties, fastballs away to righties, than lefties are.
What? So you're saying lefties throwing away to righties, they hit better?
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes sense in a way. Like, the ball is moving away from you. Just throw
You
the
already
bat
know
out
it's
there and you
away.
flip it away. I don't know. Whereas if you're a lefty, the ball still looks like it's coming in on you. Like lefty, up and away.
Yeah, now let's do lefty.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. In that same location.
Up and away.
So then, based upon what you've been saying, though, a lefty is better going up and in to a righty than up and away.
Yeah. So lefty away, 285 Woba, 315 ex Woba. So expected results or reality is worse than expected.
So then yeah, that kind of holds, because the ball is still kind of coming in at them. Like that, to me, it's the angle is just weird. Lefties,
Yeah.
part of what's hard about lefties hitting off a lefty is the angle that the ball is coming in is just weird. Like the ball always
So-
seems to be cutting across home plate regardless.
So then, when you go righty-lefty, left-handed batter, right-handed pitcher, throwing away 376 WOBA, 363 xWOBA. Which, again, makes sense because you're starting away. You can see that ball away.
Well, I mean,
Better
too, right? Like, I mean, if you're just talking about perceived velocity, it's less. Like, that's to me
Yeah.
why I like the up and in. Like, that pitch right there that Correa just swung at, it's really hard to do something with that. I'm not saying that Correa can't hit that pitch and do something with it. It just overall is a very hard pitch to do something with. I mean, he kind of just missed that pitch. Like, I'd say if you kept throwing it there, he's going to hit that ball out.
1-2 pitch. Down. 2-2. See how big that break is. It's top to bottom big.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
a good pitch to throw in that situation there.
that slider down.
Especially after going up. Now, I think, though, it could have been better if you're talking about tunneling, if he had thrown that kind of up and in. I mean, that would have probably ended up in the zone, like that pitch right there earlier.
Oh, look at that pick by Albies.
That is nice. But, I mean, that still worked out. I mean, that's still the right pitch there.
Yeah.
But if he had thrown that one pitch earlier, I wonder if that would have been a swing and a miss versus a ground out.
Ground out 75, exit velo 13, launch angle. Which is interesting because if you only saw exit velocity and launch angle, you would think that was a line drive.
But I mean, oh yeah, that's really weird. Launch angle of 13.
And that they call it a ground out because in reality it is a ground out. But again, if you didn't see anything, you saw a ball in play and you saw the exit velocity and launch angle, you would think that was a line drive.
Well, I mean,
So
but
you would
here's
call
the
that-
thing, right? Like, this is where, like, when we're in the cage and we're hitting, and you hit the ball to the corners, like, even though it's a line drive into the corner of the cage, or to the side of the cage, it's like that's probably that's probably going to be a ground ball in the infield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing where the cage is really deceiving, and I really want to figure out a way to help simulate the field better in a cage. Because, I mean, that's the thing, is that feedback. Like, we reward guys, you know, for hitting line drives in the cage, and it's into the side of the cage, and it's like, dude, that's just a ground ball. It's going to be a ground ball out.
So then that's where like something like Hit Tracks comes in with that field visualizer.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you
Yeah.
can put the ball in play and be like, well, was that actually a true line drive or was that a ground out?
Yeah, I mean, it gives you. I mean, it's probably not perfect. I'd really love to take any device, obviously, right? I mean, even your flight scope, and just compare. Like, where did it land? Like, just start hitting stuff and like marking where it landed on the field, and just go start comparing to like what the projected is, and like see how close and what the discrepancy is.
I wonder what the exit velo was on that.
The line out?
Or, I mean, the bat speed.
Oh yeah.
108, 108.9, 88.8.
What was that pitch?
That was a slider, I believe. 76 mile an hour bat speed.
Oh, it's because I'm behind. Man, Gurriel, his swing is just so rotational. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But like, the reason I like Gurriel is because what he does flies in the face of so many hitting coaches. But I mean, he's so counter rotated that, I mean, to me, the swing is partially rotational, and it allows him to cover quite a bit.
He's just, in his sense, he's taking it to an extreme.
Yeah, but it still works.
But yeah, what I'm getting at is I'm not in this context, in this connotation. I'm not using extreme as negative.
Right, right. And then this is this whole idea like of there's multiple ways to be successful.
Yes. It's all about ecological dynamics. How many ways can we solve this problem?
Yes. From
I know you gotta have
to
me
be
about
to
that.
be dexterous. How many different ways can you solve this problem? But I mean that is his way of solving that problem.
Yes. Whereas a different batter has a different way of solving a problem.
Well, maybe they're just not good at coordinating via that solution. I mean, because the way that you have to time to hit the pitch is different. The way that you're going to hit the pitch because you're being more rotational, like there's just different positive and negatives to it.
So you're basically saying, like, across different batters, they haven't figured out a way to solve that problem yet.
Well, I mean, perceptually though, like he's maybe more perceptually attuned to be able to solve that problem by being more rotational, whereas another hitter, they actually need to be more linear to have a little bit less rotation in their swing in order to actually make contact. Because when you spin more, I think your time to like your window for contact is actually a little bit it's narrower. But if you're a little bit more linear and your swing plane allows you to be out in front for longer, then you actually increase your ability to actually contact the ball. Whereas Gurriel, his contact ability percentage-wise is probably lower. That'd be actually an interesting question to look. Like, what's his contact rate relative to other hitters? But I mean, I think by having a more rotational swing, you're going to pull balls more, which means, and he's going to have a little bit more power for being more rotational.
So then you could almost create a classifier system where, okay, find guys who are similar, like do like a K-means algorithm to determine, which guys have a rotational swing, like Gurriel's, group them together, and try to understand any relationships between those guys. Like you mentioned, they could pull the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
There's that more opportunity for power, but
well, I mean, you just have to see it.
Trying to solve that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think if you have the plate coverage, even if you're rotational, you're still going to cover the plate. So that's the thing is like part of the reason that like being rotational doesn't work is sometimes you don't get full plate coverage. You can only handle the balls that are in. And even like, because if you get too rotational and you keep your hands too inside, you're really only going to really cover the inner third. But if you're able to cover the whole plate with your swing, being rotational kind of doesn't matter. You're still able to square balls up, and by being more rotational, you're going to catch balls with more of the angle towards your pull side. So it works because, in a way, right, the pull side is going to be a shorter part of the ballpark.
Yeah.
So I mean, the swing then is therefore more optimized for power. But I think it may hurt you in terms of contact rate. I don't know. Like that's the thing where we just have to look it up and see what for example is his contact rate. I'm sure you can find that.
Let's
right?
look it up. Fangraphs.
That's what I was thinking.
Gurriel. Go down. Bad ball. No. Plate discipline. I mean, his overall contact percentage this year was 88%.
What's league average?
Let me pull that up. 76%.
Wow. Well,
so think about that.
That blows up my theory.
And the other thing too is every year he's been in the bigs, he's outperformed league average.
Remember what we talked about with Max and ex-Woba?
Yeah.
Or like the ex-Woba on that was 870. I should put that clip up, actually. I need to go find that. We'll clip that and for his.
Huh. Weird when you put guys in positions where they can catch the baseball.
Well, I mean, if you hit it at a guy, your ex-Woba should not be that high. It doesn't matter what your exit velo and launch angle is.
Yes. Because that X-Woba model should also factor in, like Max Bay was talking about, spray angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He found that his model performed better because he factored in a third variable, which is spray angle. And like you could factor in more, but you don't want to get too overloaded with the variables. You want to determine which variables are most important to predicting, in this case, X-Woba.
Mm-hmm.
And determine, okay, this one is this one is that. And then pick like a certain threshold. And say like, I know like there's a function in R that's called var_imp, which is just literally variable importance. And you just look at the overall data and let's say like 3 variables are above 10. All right, we're going to pick anything that's above 10.
I mean, I like Gurriel just because he doesn't fit the mold. The whole like don't turn your front shoulder in. That won't work. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. That dude counter rotates his lead shoulder like nobody else, and he makes it work. And his contact rate is above league average. I mean, but I do think it's also the function of too. Like he's not too inside out with his swing. Like I just think like guys who really try to keep their hands in really tight, all it does is just cuts off your plate coverage.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes you really good at hitting the pitches inside.
I mean, sometimes you got to extend your hands, and like I just go back to there is a good Zep, swing plane image, and if you go to the top down or the top view, you can see the plate coverage. And to me, like I like to use this as a visual for hitters to see like, look, man, you want to understand like how much plate coverage are you getting with your swing. Now, granted, a pitch inside, you don't need to cover the whole plate. You need to put the sweet spot where the ball is. But if your swing can't cover the whole plate, then you basically have a massive hole in your swing. And that's where I look at Gurriel, like he doesn't have a massive hole in his swing because he's able to cover the whole plate with his bat. And two, most of those guys are swinging, I don't know how many guys are swinging a 33, but I got to imagine most of them don't. They're a 34 or more. Like, I mean, some of those bats, like even, I wish they had data on like the types of bats every hitter swung. You know, like the length,
weight-wise,
the weight, like all of that. You would glean so much information.
Wow, what a call there. But yeah, no, because part of like, if you didn't know this, like Blast, part of their bat speed models, their metric models, are based upon the length and the weight of the bat.
Mm-hmm.
So while we are saying, like, from a base model, we are saying that this bat speed formula that we have is doing this, we're not factoring in.
That was a great frame job right there for that pitch.
Oh yeah, that was boy.
Let's see how it affects him.
Oh, he's gonna swing.
Yep. Oh, he's rattled from that call.
Oh yes, he is.
Oh man, how much do you think that's part of his process? Who was the reliever coming in? I missed it.
Tyler Maztek.
From Maztek, taking a sip of water and just chucking that thing, just getting himself into the mindset of just, I don't give an F.
sometimes you got to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, if that's the way you do it, I know.
I mean,
know
it's all
some
about
guys-
getting yourself in the right headspace. Screw it.
yeah.
Ain't nobody getting anything past me. I am one of the meanest mother effers out there.
And that's the kind of mentality you need to have. You need to go to the mound. If you're a pitcher, you need to go to the mound and say, "Hey, I'm going to strike everybody out.
Like
Nobody's going to stop me."
Right. Nobody's
And
got
I mean,
nothing
like-
on me.
And whatever it takes to get you in that moment. So, like one of our late inning guys, one of our late inning guys, he listens to a song. I highly recommend it. It's called Vendetta, and it is a screamo song type song.
We're not playing it on this stream so we don't get copyright.
No, I'm not playing it, but I'm telling you, it's by Fit for. I was looking up.
Go look it up, people.
Fit for a King, Vendetta. Great song, but just when you listen to it and you hear a guy listen to it at a baseball field, you're like, why is this playing? But it's for him, it's, hey, I'm getting in my headspace, like I am going to strike everybody out.
Y'all got nothing on this.
Nothing at all.
Not a nothing.
Top the eighth.
Hey, right now it says we got 69 playbacks. Granted,
69. Nice.
I know, right? My other laptop though is being slow, so that might not be true anymore. 0-2 changeup liked one of your tweets.
0-2 changeup, baby.
That is a nice Twitter profile.
Or is it?
My computer is freaking
killed. Yeah, 0-2 changeup. Oh my goodness.
About to kill my my old laptop.
Don't kill it. Aledmys Diaz. Remember when he was good with the Cardinals? Because I do.
I don't. I only follow the Twins, really. And the Giants from a long time ago.
Follow the Cardinals all my life.
Man, how are we so far
behind?
behind? Did it just come back on for you?
What's the count for you?
0-1? Or sorry, 1-0. Sorry, 1-0.
It is about to be.
I mean, it's 1-1 now.
It's 2-1 right now for me.
Okay, so I am behind.
Against Aledmys.
Oh, Eddie Rosario. That's what he gets knocked on for all the time. Just not
Oh my.
not good
goodness.
enough. Not good enough outfielder. Am I now slightly ahead of you again?
No, I saw it.
Okay.
Same thing. I don't know. Do you?
If you're Rosario on a pitch like that, you should dive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Swanson's right there if you miss it.
Well, not just that, it's the height of the pitch, or sorry, not the pitch, but the fly ball. Because when it hits the ground, it's not going to go as far. Like that's the thing. Balls that are hit really high like that, you have
Okay, that's right.
So if you miss it, it's not going to get that far from you. Whereas if it's got a lower trajectory, and it's not hit more like a pop up or a flare, then diving for it, the ball's going to go a lot further. But if it's hit like a pop up or a flare, it ain't going to go very far.
Yeah. That makes sense. Jason Castro, pinch hitting.
Dude, did the Astros just go and get all their old players back?
They did. Did
Like, what's going on right now?
So, did Castro go from the Twins to the Astros?
I don't know where he went after the Twins. Same with Marwin. I don't know where he went after the Twins let him go.
Marwin went to the Red Sox, and then he was
yeah.
DFA'd and then released in like June.
And then the Astros are like, hey, you can come back over here.
Oh, okay. So last year, Castro, after he left the Twins, Castro went to the Angels and then was traded to the Padres. And now he's back with the Astros.
Now, how did he get back to the Astros? Did they sign him or did he get released? Like, what's...
They signed him as a free agent on January 22nd.
Okay.
Of this year. Oh, hey Siri, come run for me. Right, that's terrible. Oh goodness, that's terrible.
Siri showed off his speed in game 2.
Looks like it's a 2-year contract too for Castro. Because it says salary, 2 years, $7 million, and then the second year salary increases by $250K for every 10 games started as catcher in in that year.
Because I'm just like, he's not their starting catcher. There's no way.
No, but salary goes up for every 10 games he starts. What you think, I mean, over the course of a season, assuming he's healthy, he'll probably start close to 40 games.
Mm-hmm. Alter your delivery, tried to go with a slide step right there and keep the fastball up. So just the thought of speed, which is
okay, that's why he's in there. It's because they pinch hit for Maldonado.
El Pitcher.
But, I mean, is Maldonado that much better offensively than Castro?
That, and two, like, defensively.
I mean, I thought that's what Castro was really good at, was he was a good defensive catcher.
But so is Maldonado.
Okay, so how do you judge who's better? Like, what does Maldonado have on Castro other than maybe age? Has he got a better arm? Does he frame better? Like,
let's look, Garrett.
geez,
So
yeah, offensively, not a whole lot there.
We'll do catcher pop time. Maldonado's got a 1.96 pop time.
I mean, because Castro offensively, from what I remember, like with the Twins, he was nothing. I wasn't that impressed. I mean, wow, he was way off. Wow. In terms of like where his barrel was relative to the pitch, he was off by like a couple of inches. Definitely not attuned or calibrated there.
Nope. Pop time for Castro 2.01. So Maldonado's got him beat by 0.05 seconds.
Okay, that's pretty darn good. I mean, I guess now, offensively he's slightly better.
Runs wise.
I mean, he had fewer plate appearances, but he had a better OPS and a better batting average than Maldonado.
So, framing runs, if we talk about framing, Maldonado +1, Jason Castro -1 this season.
I never really understood why the Twins went out and got Castro, but
hey, he was serviceable, right?
I guess. I mean, for a while I liked Garver better, but now I don't see Garver. I mean, he kind of regressed back to the mean there.
Oh, he regressed very much to the mean.
I mean, I really don't see the Twins being that much better next year. I mean, they need to get better at pitching. That's like I think they're the biggest thing to help them contend a little bit. I mean, right? Like that was the thing that helped Milwaukee win the Central in their division. Like they had some of the best pitching. I mean,
Yeah, and then one of their pitchers decided to get angry and punch a hole in the wall and hurt his hand.
that doesn't help.
No, it does not. But I think on the same boat, yeah, the Cardinals are on the same too. They need to get better pitching wise. Because we can't be trotting 41-year-old Adam Wainwright out there.
Or even having AJ Happ as one of your legitimate pitchers.
Yeah. Adam
Oof.
Wainwright, J.A. John Lester.
Oof.
Like, that's not
Oof.
going to be sustainable.
Well, that's why you put Siri out there, right?
That's the reason why we do that. He almost, wow. He almost threatened to score there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's the Astros did that with Siri. So the Braves have Terrence Gore on their bench. And
Ooh, we should look
he's
at.
not going to
Mhm.
he's not going to play the field or anything. He's just going to go in there and steal a base and try to score a run.
Went over his glove. So another steal against Darno. Siri looking back in. Good throw might have had him, but it bounced in, and now over at third is Jose Siri for Brantley.
Could look at his running mechanics at some point. Woof. Woof.
Can't catch up. 99 miles.
Is that a good woof or a bad woof?
It looks easy.
I mean, that to me is like, is he just late or is he also not calibrated?
Easy gas.
Might be a little bit of both.
I would say so. It looked like he was swinging under it. It didn't matter if he was on time. He's still missing that pitch.
Strike two.
See, I mean, because he can hit it. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't. That's why I think a lot of times guys aren't late. They're just not calibrated. Or they're not on the plane of the pitch. That's why they missed it.
Like that discussion we had with, or you posted on Twitter a while back ago, you know, is this guy late?
Mm-hmm.
Which led to a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, I don't remember how much engagement that got. None of my stuff gets very much engagement in general, but
Popped up. Left side. Riley. Inning over.
nice.
The no-hitter is gone. The lead
They got out of it.
is not.
That's all that matters.
Which means the Braves have got 3 outs left to get.
Oh yeah, we're already to the 8th. It's amazing how fast some of this stuff can sneak up on you. I was just like, man, this game is getting really long. We're only in like the 5th or 6th or whatever, and it's already 9 o'clock. Or like 9:30 or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like the later innings sometimes can just fly.
That's another thing. That's another thing you ought to find interesting. Um, starting pitching, like most of the bullpen or most of the pitching changes, like within the inning, happen during the middle innings.
And that's what
Because once
slows
you
it
get
down. Yeah.
Because once you get into innings 7, 8, 9, you pretty much know, hey,
Who's
you
gonna
got the
who's gonna
seventh.
be who's
You
coming
got
in.
the 8th, you got the 9th. Most of the time, it's like, oh, in the 4th inning, oh, starter's struggling. All right, bring him out. We need a lefty-lefty matchup.
Mhm.
All right, lefty faced 3 batters. All right, we need to bring in another righty in the next inning. And then speaking of which, Adam Wainwright tweets out this. 2 teams battling for World Series, tied 1-1 in games. Game scores 1-0 in the 5th. A game where both starters were dealing. Both starters have been removed from the game. Bullpen games are looming with lots of questions of how innings will be filled. I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know if I fully get his
Yeah, because
His tweet.
would you say at the same time would you say that Anderson or Garcia were dealing?
I mean, Garcia, yeah, kind of. I thought. I mean, what was the strikeout rate that he had? Or how many strikeouts did he have?
He struck out 5, 6.
Struck out 6 over 3 2/3. That's not bad at all. I mean, he only had
But
one
then-
hit, or sorry, 3 hits.
But then 4 walks as well.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I want Garcia, to me, seemed like his stuff looked like it was working better, but you know, the score is the difference maker there. So I mean, I don't think necessarily that they were dealing. What was Garcia's ball strike ratio?
Let's see. He threw 72 pitches.
Soler off the plate with ball 1. Castro, who pinch hit.
Looks like 57%.
Hard hit in the hole. Correa, long throw, a bounce.
So
That was
relatively,
nice play.
What a play by Carlos.
relatively close.
Here's the other thing that I think guys need to remember. Use the freaking turf, man. Just get that throw online and
Let it skip to him.
yeah. And the other thing, though, I would say is that if you're a first baseman, we need to work that quite a bit more. But, I mean, you can tell, Correa was more concerned about getting it out quick than he was about trying to throw it as hard as he could. Get it out quick and online. And then use the turf. I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of young middle infielders make, or just infielders in general.
They try to just throw it.
Yeah, they try to get it there in the air. And two, if you do a long hop, it's much easier for the guy at first to pick it out. So you don't even have to try to get it pretty close. You can have it hit the ground, a decent way out in front of first base. It's going to be probably easier for the first baseman to pick it or field it.
Yeah. I'd find that interesting in a practice setting too, working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the first baseman. Hey, don't be afraid to take this long hop. But I also find it interesting on the infielder side. Hey, throw it, but make sure the first baseman gets a long hop.
Hey, there's that up and in fastball.
Righty, up and in.
I mean, granted, it was a sinker. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, still.
It counts as a fastball.
Well, I mean,
again, then you ask those questions
it was 97
okay,
miles an hour. I mean, to me, that's a fastball.
what? Then you ask the question okay, what about movement? How much movement is that getting?
I mean, I don't think it mattered, to be quite honest. I mean, it made it even harder to hit, but 98 up and in.
I'm saying in terms of how hard is it to hit? Does it make it with movement? Does it make it harder?
Oh, come on, let's go, ball.
I think you're ahead of me. No way. Travis d'Arnaud.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a pretty good postseason as well. Dude, 112 at 21. I mean, you better hit that sucker pretty freaking hard if you're going to try to go straight away center.
All right, so what are we looking at bat speed was? Meaning the bat speed it was on that one.
I don't know, 75s? What was the
Also,
highest?
okay.
What was the highest that you had, by the way?
So far in this game,
yeah.
Freddie Freeman,
Yeah, what was that? 77?
77.
I don't know, 77, 78 on that one. Come on, please show a
Possibly.
replay because I want to see the pitch location again on that one. That was down, wasn't it? I want to say that was down. I'm trying to remember. I think
Yeah.
it was. Dude, okay, so look. Do you see his bat?
77.7.
So that's up there for the highest. Did you see his bat?
His
If you
bat?
look at his bat in the, so it looks like there's like a cylinder on the knob of his bat.
Maybe that's for grip.
No. Like so, you've seen some of Chad's bats that
Oh, I know
like
what you're talking about.
you know what I mean? Like to make it an end loaded bat. I wonder if that helps make his bat end loaded a little bit. And then what that would mean is that the barrel's getting through, like, you know how your hands, when you have an end loaded bat, the barrel or like your hands or whatever seem to get through the zone a little bit quicker. But it then does oftentimes cause you to hook. But I mean, if you're used to using that, I don't know. Like, does that change your bat speed? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, it could.
I mean, granted, you can't put a blast sensor on your axe bats, but that would be something I'd look into is like, what are the different bat speeds between a end-loaded bat versus a handle-loaded bat? Did I say end-loaded before? I meant handle-loaded. His
Yeah.
uh,
Handle loaded.
looked like it was more handle-loaded, and I wonder if that, or maybe it balances out his bat more. I don't know, but that's a. There it is, that up and in pitch again. You should actually look at that up and in pitch, especially in the 0-2 counts.
Or 2 strike counts, I should say.
Yes, 2 strike. Yeah, that pitch was down. All right, you think they're going to shut the door right here?
I think so. I think so.
Oh, my computer is so broken right now.
I think I can hear it in the background just zooming.
Probably.
Just going phew.
All right, who's coming up next inning?
6, 7, 8, I think.
Okay, who are they gonna? You said 6, 7, 8. Who are they gonna pinch hit for the 8 spot? Or who's in there right now?
Let me double check. No, it's 3, 4, 5. I take that back. 3, 4, 5.
All right, that makes a little bit more sense.
So it's Bregman, Alvarez, Correa. which in this series, Bregman's been non-existent. I mean, in this game, the entire Astros offense had been non-existent.
I mean, the only person that kind of really does anything is Brantley, and he hasn't done anything today yet either.
Well,
Guillermo Heredia is in the game in center for Duvall. Bregman tonight 0 for 1, 0 for 8 in this World Series. Landed on his swing, trying to get something going in the 9th inning.
Okay, question here. How is it that like lefty sliders get hit out for home runs, but here you have lefty-righty sliders? Does that not similarly have the same danger potential for damage?
maybe it's kind of like when we're talking about like fastballs away. Like you can see it better, but because of the movement, it's tougher to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would just think that it would have the same kind of effect as it goes into the barrel a little bit more, and then it get hit out or hit hard similarly.
Yeah, there's got to be some form of recognition though to it as well, because you're not. I mean, if you don't recognize the slider in time, you're not going to catch it out front.
Sure.
And hit it out.
First 4 have been outstanding. Right side is wide open, and Bregman finds it.
Hitting holes, man. Hitting holes.
Single.
Hit it where they ain't.
Yep.
Our Hyundai lift of the game. We talk about
And there's hit number 2.
and every time Matzik comes into a ball game in October these days, he's just lights out. He got through the 8th. Did give up the first hit, but gets 3 more big outs.
See, who cares if you give up hits if you don't give up runs? What'd you think of that whole thread, or did you see it by Tread on ERA? I mean, I think there's something to what he was saying, especially when you leave guys on and then somebody else comes in and gives up those runners.
I don't think I saw it.
Okay.
So
It was kind of an argument about, like, you know, how useful is ERA? You know, to judge yourself on that. And so I kind of understand just based upon how it's measured, but I mean, at some level, I don't care about necessarily how many hits you give up. I care about, you know, how many runs. Because, I mean, sometimes you give up like a hit like Smith has, and if he gets the next couple guys out, I don't care. Same thing with
14 runs in the 9th inning this postseason. It's the second most
Matsky.
postseason with more rounds
Maztec.
Yes.
over these days, but still, they've had 9th inning fun as Correa fouls away strike 1.
Now, Correa could do the same thing, but his thoughts are, I'm 1 swing away from tying up the game. But if he gets to 2 strikes, that shift becomes a little more enticing for him with 2 strikes. Up into 2 strikes, he's trying to hit the gap.
Well, what count you got here in the 9th?
I'm still at 0-1.
Okay.
He hasn't
Okay,
pitched
we're
it
on
yet.
the same pitch. Same pitch yet.
Correa takes the ball.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if he gets to 2 strikes. Does he try to go through that big hole on the right side?
During the regular season.
I mean, I'm not saying he should go through that hole if he gets a cookie.
Harder for him to do that.
No. But based on what the pitch affords him to do,
Right.
2-1.
should he go through that hole? But it looks like he's getting a steady diet of sliders.
Even with this kind of shift,
Which I
He's
think
getting
it does make it hard to go the other way with those sliders, especially if they're in.
double play if it's hit.
That's just a hard pitch to shoot the other way. I mean, because here's the thing that I think is, like, pitchers need
Little fly ball into right center field, going to get it for the
if your defense is going to be shifted behind you, you should probably pitch into the shift. It doesn't make any sense to throw pitches away when your defense is shifted to the pull side. Like, you're giving the hitter the opportunity or making it easier for him to go the other way. And that's not pitching into your shift. So
Yeah, that
I
makes
do
sense.
think like this is also too where like if you're the infield coach or like outfield whatever, you should understand the types of pitches that your pitcher has, and you should align your defense not just to where the hitter's tendencies are, but also to where how the pitcher attacks the hitter. Like if you're pulling, if you are shifted to pull, and your pitcher has a really good off speed pitch, changeup as an example, that pitch affords more going soft the other way. So
Yeah.
just you need to keep that in your mind. Because like here, if you shift to pull on Tucker, which I think might make sense, just be aware that slider away like is going to afford him to
Better
kind of hit
slap it the other way.
Yes, where that was not a possibility for, was it Correa who's just up?
Yep.
That's not really afforded to Correa.
And that's going to get away, but Bregman stays put. 1-1 strike.
Freddie, of course, is going to protect the line for doubles. He doesn't want to give up a double down that line. Put the tying run at second. But the Braves pitching has continued a theme in the last, let's say 11, 12 games here at home.
Probability of the Astros winning right now, 3.5%.
Oh yeah. Win probability.
All right, what do you think pitch that he's going to throw right here?
Probably another slider.
I would agree with that.
The American League batting champion, Yuli Gurriel.
Part of me was like fastball, and the other part of me is like, no.
No. I think he's just gonna get slider.
Heredia says he's got it. Braves win game.
Here we go, and that's the ball game.
Sliders. Braves get the dub.
Oh yeah,
That was 98 off the bat.
but with a launch angle of 35. Like if you had a better launch angle, maybe could have done more with it.
Anderson the win. Garcia the loss. And
But-
save for Smith.
All right, what's the box score here?
Postseason. What a pitching
Eddie, 3 for 1, or 1 for 3. Sorry,
against this
bring it back.
3 for 1.
did everything he had to do. Brought
Freddie 1 for 4.
be any happier.
Riley 1 for 4.
In here, whole night.
Dude, I don't even know how to pronounce Travis's last name. What is it?
Darno.
Darnell? That doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't at all look like how it's pronounced. 2 for 4 with a home run and a run.
We expect Greinke to start for the Astros.
Darno is the player of the game.
I would definitely say so. You got anything else you want to wrap up on?
I do
Any
not.
other tales of the game?
I mean, honestly, based on the first two games, I'm just glad this game was a close game.
Fair enough.
So you have something to watch all the way through.
Absolutely.
Send it down to Ken Rosenthal. Thanks, Joe.
All
You
right.
got anything else to wrap up on?
No, not really. Just stay attuned, stay adaptable, stay dexterous.
Yeah. Calibration.
Ecological dynamics.
Analytics.
R squared.
Constraint-led approach.
So, I have this this one guy that I watch, Paul Vanderklay. He says, "Buzzwords are holy words." So just remember that, people. Buzzwords are holy words.
Buzzwords are holy words. Holy words are buzzwords. Think about it.
Think about it. Till next time.
Until next time, everyone.